Our new partner who I'm really, really excited to announce we are working with. Super, super stoked. Thank you, Angie Huberman, for this connect. It's incredible. AG1 Athletic Greens. I've been using them for a while. I have them every morning on an empty stomach. Basically, take one scoop and you put it into a cup or glass or mug of 8 ounces of cold water. And this is all your greens for the day. You're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens. Every day I take this. It's so good for my digestion, my energy. It's simple. It's easy. I don't like taking a lot of vitamins. This has been really, really helpful for me. I've had a lot of stomach issues my whole life, and ever since I've been gluten-free and taking the AG1s, it's really helped me in my stomach in the mornings. I love it, and I'm so psyched that they're part of the One Life One Chance podcast. I'm sure a lot of people don't like eating greens, let alone drinking your greens, but I can tell you straight up, it's got a mild tropical taste, and the taste is actually really refreshing, and I really look forward to it each morning. Don't think it's just going to be just straight bland. It tastes really, really good, and it's good for you, so remember that. This one blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. It's incredible, just one scoop, especially for musicians who are vegans or just musicians in general who want to get those daily greens. You can get the packets. It's incredible. I just gave some to my friend Derek from Sepultura. He traveled the whole entire world this summer, and he had those every single day. He said it saved him. I bring AG1s with me when I travel. It helps me stay healthy. You know the deal. If you're on tour and you are a picky eater, but you need to have your greens, sometimes catering doesn't have greens. Sometimes you miss the catering. Sometimes you miss the backstage food. Sometimes it's too late after the show to go get food that you like. So if you just have a scoop of AG1s in your hotel room before you go to bed, or you're in the hotel room at night and you're starving and you want something healthy, boom, life changer. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with some convenient daily nutrition. That's all you need, one scoop in a cup every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. This is it. I'm super psyched. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/OLLC. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/OLLC to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. This is incredible. I love it. It's just basic greens. For me personally, this has changed my life tremendously. I'm not a junk food vegan. I don't eat a lot of fake meats, so I'm strictly greens. And this has been a wonderful, wonderful new addition to my life. So once again, visit athleticgreens.com/OLLC. and get 1 free year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. athleticgreens.com/OLLC. Yo, Liquid Death, thank you so much for hydrating all my guests, taking care of me and my family and my friends. Love your water, love your brand, love what you stand for, love what you give back to the community. If you want to learn more about Liquid Death and how it started, listen to episode 115 with the co-founder, owner, and creator of Liquid Death, Mike Cesario. Just a punk rock skateboarding kid from Delaware with a dream. It's an incredible story, incredible journey. They have now blessed me with my own code. So if you go liquiddeath.com/Toby, you get free shipping on any items you order from liquiddeath.com. Thank you so much, Liquid Death. Death to plastic, murder your thirst. Stay hydrated. You know H2O saves lives. Check. Welcome to the One Life One Chance podcast. I'm your host, Toby Morse. Today I got a good friend of mine here in my kitchen, Massachusetts born like me, Mr. Slaine. Thank you for being here.
Yes, sir. What's up, brother? It's good to see you, man.
You know what's crazy? It's that when you have friends, you only know them by like their name or their nickname, and then you do a deep dive on them. Your name's George Carroll, which I never fucking knew. And it's like we have so many friends from our world that have like these nicknames.
Yeah.
And like you go your whole life, your adult life, not knowing like what is this fucking
well, especially when we came up, it's like the 90s, the early 2000s, and everybody just you know them by their street name, their stage name, their MC name, whatever it is, their graffiti name.
Yeah, it's crazy when I did that. I was like, holy shit, I never even knew that was his fucking name. It's like now I don't want to know that name. I just want to know you by Slaine. But but you go by that when you're acting. Is it go by?
Well, that just started. So Ida Red was the first movie I was billed by my birth name. Okay. And the reason I did that is because, like my son is getting older now, and I want my son to see his name up on the screen. It's, he has a different first name than me, but I want him to see Carroll up on the screen. Yeah. And I think that's like relevant going forward for his kids and all that. you know, so I just switched it. It's kind of a hard decision because a lot of people know you by that name, and I think in the past I've always thought like, well, if somebody sees me in a movie, I want them to be able to put two and two together and then do the deep dive on my music.
Yeah.
And but you know, it just felt like it was time.
So the IMDb there, it's your real name. Yeah, that's what I figured out.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool to have two different things. It's like two different parts of your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's also an aspect of it too where I remember an acting teacher I was working with here in LA. He said, you know, every time you're playing a role, you're really George playing Slaine, playing whatever character you're playing. And that kind of blew me away. I was like, oh, shit. You know, it adds an extra layer to it that doesn't need to be there. So
yeah, it's interesting. So obviously, whatever. I was born in Taunton, Massachusetts. And were you born in just Boston proper?
Yeah, I was born in Dorchester.
Dorchester. How far is that from Taunton?
St. Margaret's Hospital in Dorchester. And I lived in Dorchester as a kid, too.
Are we far from each other, Taunton? I don't even know.
40 minutes, I think. I don't know. I haven't spent a lot of time in Taunton. But it's I think it's about 40 minutes from Dorchester.
And I remember growing up going to the Brockton Mall and doing all that shit. You know what I mean? Like, I lived there a very short time before I moved to Rhode Island, but I was young, but yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that. We did talk about that before. I remember coming to a show and you mentioned that on stage, and I was like, no shit.
So do you have siblings?
I do. I have 2 sisters.
2 older?
No, younger. And they actually kind of grew up different than me. They grew up in California because my mother got remarried.
Okay.
And they're younger than me, so they moved out to California, lived in Northern California growing up. So it's funny because they don't have the accent. They don't have, it's with different lives.
Yeah. Were you close with them? You kept in touch with them throughout your life?
Yeah, I love my sisters.
Yeah. So Boston. So yeah, how was it growing up in Boston?
I tell people like the neighborhood that I grew up in Dorchester is doesn't exist anymore. Boston has changed so much over the years. But growing up, it was very much like Irish Catholic, like working class enclave. Like is that the proper way to say that word? But but there was like a family with 12 kids, another one with 8 kids. Everybody's Irish. There was like definitely a lot of good hardworking people, a lot of alcoholism, especially like as I see kids because I moved out of there as a kid too. I moved around a lot as a kid. And when I see kids from my old neighborhood, I see them in the program and stuff like that, So
wow.
I was like, damn, there must be something in the water,
Yeah. I grew up Catholic as well. And I think I was like, we were like heavily in church. My mom used to go to church. I'm like part Irish. I'm enough Irish to have like a fighting Irish tattoo and have a House of Pain tat. I forgot my percentage of Irish, but yeah, I'm Irish as well. But yeah, like growing up, and that's such a, what you just described is like such a Boston thing, man. It's just its own. I don't know.
You know what though? Like, but I think you're a little bit older than me, but we come from the same generation. I think the world in general back then, and particularly cities, everything was kind of there was a different culture to every neighborhood.
Yeah.
And every city particularly, but now like you go around the world, I think the internet changed things. People dress the same and people talk the same no matter where you go. You're not really segmented in the same way that it used to be.
Yeah.
Or it used to be like there'd be like kids who listen to hip hop, kids who listen to heavy metal, kids who and none of that meshed. Like it's
all meshed now though, right?
I feel like everybody listens to everything.
I love that though.
Yeah.
It's cool because I grew up in the same thing, like hip hop, hardcore, all that stuff. But like, especially in hardcore, it was very just like only hardcore, only punk. But if you liked other types of music, that wasn't cool. But like, yeah, always hip hop, always like pop, everything. But yeah, it's definitely meshed together. I think social media for sure, man. It's had that kind of impact, right?
Crazy. I mean, I wasn't introduced to hardcore music until I moved to New York. And the first hardcore show I went to was it was Madball, AF, and Murphy's Law.
Wow. That's a good one.
At CB's.
Damn. Was that in the 90s?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. So you didn't go. So growing up, you're strictly into hip hop. Growing up in Boston.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, early on, I was just into all the shit that my mother listened to in the car. You know what I mean? So it was like Hall & Oates and Stevie Wonder and Michael Jackson, and she used to put the records on when she would clean the house and stuff like that. So that was my introduction to music. And I think my introduction to hip hop was the Beastie Boys.
Beastie Boys. I looked at LL, right? Kumo D, all that stuff.
Yeah, that era. So it was like, and I fell in love with it. But the first record I ever listened to was the Beastie Boys' first album, and I wrote a rhyme right after that.
Your first rhyme?
First rhyme I wrote after. I don't remember what the rhyme was. And I was just trying to sound like the Beastie Boys, but it was, I was 9 years old.
Wow. And so obviously, but not at 9 years old, you're like, I want to be a rapper, right? It wasn't like
no,
that.
I didn't even think it was possible for me to be a rapper. You know what I mean? Like it's it was something that I really kept buried for a long time. Like it wasn't even cool to go and spit rhymes like out in public or anything like that. There wasn't. It was like, it was. There was an element to Boston in that time too that was also very racially segregated, and that's not for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're a wannabe if you do something like that. So it was like, I would write on my own. I used to, plug the headphones into the, I'd get the A and B tape, and I would get an instrumental tape, and I would rhyme into the mic while I taped on a blank tape, and then I would overdub it. I didn't know that's what I was doing at the time, but I would get another blank tape, and I would put dubs on my vocals, and that's how I learned how to record in the very beginning as a kid.
Wow. And how were you in school? Like, how were you as a kid?
I was a smart kid. So like up until high school, and I always got on a roll. I was always very good writer. Both my parents were teachers.
Okay.
So
what kind of teachers were they?
My father was a Boston Public High School teacher, and my mother started as she worked in like a flower shop behind my house in Dorchester when I was a kid, and then she became a teacher over time. I think she was an art teacher.
Okay.
In East Boston when I was a kid, and then later like she taught communications and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And media. So I have that kind of as a background.
Were they strict about that for school for you? Education?
So before everything fell apart, it's like a tale of two different tales. Like in my early childhood and then the very toxic situation as I got to be 12, 13 years old. So I'm actually estranged from my dad now.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I remember in grade school, both of them like sitting next to me, writing my papers with me. Like,
wow, yeah.
And then fighting over like the way it should be, and like. So,
wow. Okay.
So, but I think it definitely gave me a foundation in reading and writing, like, and it was something I also had an aptitude for. So that writing has always come very easy for me.
Yeah. So you were writing all through school and stuff like that, and journaling and shit like that, or?
Not so much journaling.
Poetry?
Writing rhymes.
Okay, writing rhymes. Yeah. Okay, the whole time. But do you remember the first time like you rhymed in front of somebody? Was that in school or no?
I don't remember the first time, man. I think
were you going to battles and stuff like that?
No, nothing like that, man. It was real. Like I said, I mean, I used to write rhymes and put them in a shoebox and hide them under my bag. So my mother told me years later, like, I found a shoebox under your bed that had all these rhymes, and that was when I knew that you were an artist.
Wow, bro. She read them and shit?
I don't know. I didn't get into that.
So your mom pretty much raised you at that point, right? If your dad took like...
Yeah, but my mom was also like dealing with the fallout from that. So as I became a teenager, I had my high school sweetheart who later became my wife, then my ex-wife. She's my son's mother, and she's one of my best friends now. But she... Like at that time I met her family became kind of a surrogate family to me. So I used to like stay over there all the time, or, it was also a very convenient way to stay out in the streets because, I could tell my mother I'm going over to dad's. I could tell my father I'm staying with mom.
How old are you
then?
then?
I could be running out in the streets. 14, 15 years old.
Okay, so you're in the streets, yeah.
And that's when the drugs started.
So you hadn't really partied until your parents kind of split and you kind of life changed like that, right?
Yeah, I think it was just that age and the culture at that time too. It was the time when, I mean, I think a lot of kids get into drugs at that time, but I had some things like that probably internally were really fucking with me, and and I had a situation where like I kind of could run amok for a little while, and I did.
Yeah, are we getting in trouble and stuff?
Not so much. I always tell, as far as look, I was in trouble to the extent that I was doing cocaine and smoking angel dust and selling drugs and all that.
That young?
That young.
Holy
but it was very quick for me from the first time I drank and smoked weed to acid and coke.
Really fast, right?
Within months, you know what I mean? So it was like I loved it. I loved the way it felt. It internally changed my perception of the world. It changed the world's perception of me in my own mind.
Yeah, and you like being numb to it. Numbs you out, kind of.
And it made me feel like for the first time, like I was connected and I belonged, and I was part of something. It was a culture that I wanted to be a part of. Forget about hip hop tied into it and all that, and music tied into it, but more so than that, it was like a culture. It was like being part of an underground culture. Like I knew I like to sell drugs, I like to do drugs, and I like to be connected with other people who are in that kind of world.
Yeah. Like kind of like underground, grimy, kind of just like.
No matter where I was, I could always sniff out kind of the people that also were into drugs. You know what I mean? And
so you're doing that throughout high school too?
Yeah.
Wow. Was that affecting your grades or anything?
Absolutely, because I went from being an honor roll student like for my whole life to by the end of high school I was barely passing. And the only reason I even passed was because my writing ability. So like I could bullshit on, it would be like a paper is due. It'd be like, what's the book about? So it's like a coming of age story, and then I just, write like that. So I could very easily like put together an eloquent kind of 2 or 3 pages and get by.
Are you in school high too?
Yeah.
You've been coked out in school?
Yep.
Damn, bro.
So I went to a Catholic school in the end of the combat zone. So the combat zone was kind of dissipating at the time, but it was still there in Boston. So it's like it was like the porn theaters and all that stuff and whores and
it was like 42nd Street.
Kind of like a mini version of it in Boston. And there'd be like prostitutes walking out the window. Like we'd be in woodshop. It was a technical high school, so most kids didn't go to college after that. It was like you learned a trade and you got a job in the union or get a construction job or something like that. But we used to throw candy out the windows at the hookers, like. From the 4th floor up, and then they would look up, and we'd all duck in the window. And
oh shit!
So I was high as a kite, man.
Wow!
I was having a good time.
And so, do you have any goals at that time when you're in high school? Were you thinking about music at all?
I mean,
or just surviving.
I loved music, man. All I thought about was music, but I didn't really think it was a realistic goal. And I think the first time I tried to like get sober. Was right at the end of high school, and because at that point I was like really doing hard drugs at a young age and regularly.
You tried heroin at that? You tried?
No. I wasn't an opiate guy. I mean, booze is my drug of choice. But that being said, I have supplemented with every other drug.
Yeah.
But cocaine was big for me because I could drink for 3 or 4 days at a time without sleeping, and I like that.
The come down, the crash on that is so gnarly, right?
Yeah.
It's heavy depression and all that.
Well, it's anxiety too over the years, like, especially towards the end of it, man. It was just like, my throat closes like a pinhole. I can't breathe. It's like,
fuck.
It
sounds intense.
It's
like, we know people that have been on it. I've seen some friends on it. I've been with them when they were on it the next day, how they looked and acted, and it was really like night and day scary and sad, and they're like, it's really.
Well, it's also sleep deprivation, right?
Yeah.
So it's like if I've found out since I got sober, like I don't just have to do drugs to feel like that. If I don't sleep well, I feel like shit. So now you're talking about 3 or 4 days where you're not sleeping at all. I mean, the human body's not designed to do that.
Fuck no. And you're trying to keep getting that same high, right? That's the whole thing. You can't stop doing it because you like that, right? It's like almost like the chase, I guess.
Yeah, man, and it's with the booze too. And
how old were you when you started drinking? You think
13, 14?
Wow. Smoking cigarettes, weed, all that. So,
Unfortunately, I still struggle with the cigarettes. But.
It's all right, man. You're human, bro. So yeah, so just wow, so totally wilding out and partying, and do you graduate?
Yeah, I graduated high school, and then after that, so it was like a year, and I was like, I need to get my life together, and figure out what I'm doing, and are
you living at home too still?
Yeah, and I took a year after high school to try to figure out what I'm gonna do.
Yeah,
and I worked and all that stuff, but by trying to get sober, I meant like getting off the angel dust, not doing cocaine and all that. So I would like drink. Still.
Yeah.
And that never worked. Like I always ended up back to the drugs and all that. And but I did, apply to college, and I wanted to go to film school. I figured out like there's nothing that I really want to do that's like anything besides being creative. I was a creative. I loved as much as I loved music, I loved movies. I was
going to ask you that. Yeah.
I mean, I used to like go, back then when you used to go and rent videos and stuff like that. I'd rent like 4 movies and binge watch them. I love movies. I love everything about them. So I wanted to be a director. I didn't think I really could be an actor or anything like that. Yeah. I wanted to be a director or a screenwriter. And I applied to the School of Visual Arts in Manhattan. Yep. And I went there for about 7 months. And I
you had an altercation where you had to leave.
Yeah, you read about that. You did the deep dive on me.
Man. I know. Because you went to New York in '96. Yeah, right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you were there for a little bit. Then had what was the altercation? Just like was it with a teacher?
No, it was with one of the doormen at the building that we lived in, and the guy was out. So a friend of mine already had like some static with him during the course of the year, and he was out. He was walking his pit bull. It was a baby pit bull, and it was on a long leash. So the pit bull came over. We were going out to get more beers. We were already loaded, and my friend starts petting the dude's baby pit bull, and the dude's like, yo, get your fucking hands off of my dog. And I was like, come on, Joe, let's go. And then the dude ran up on him and hit him.
What?
And then, I jumped in and we finished him off. So the next day, they had the cops came by. And
whoa.
So yeah, it was not good. And so the dude's in front, and his jaw's all busted, and he's got crutches, and his ribs are broken and shit. And the New York City cops, man, it's like it's totally different than anywhere else. They're like, yo, if you hit him first, that they're talking like that. I was like, these police are different than the ones we got in Boston. And basically it ended where the cop was like, look, if you want us to press charge, we need to bring you in too, because it sounds like you started the fight. So the dude let it go, and went back in the room, and our rooms were ransacked because he worked in the building.
Oh shit.
So and then I got asked to leave by the school. So
how long were you there for, you think?
I think that was in April. So yeah, so it was almost towards the end of the year. It was like 7 months. So I did almost.
Were you doing good there though before that?
I was, because it was the whole track was like, filmmaking, editing, screenwriting, acting. I took the first time I ever acted was at this school. So it was like the second semester. And again, like I didn't really see myself as being an actor.
Did you like it though? You enjoyed it?
I think I was, more than I enjoyed it, I was good at it. But it wasn't something I was really interested in. But I've actually told this story before, but the acting teacher, she was this woman, and I forget her name now, but she was like a Broadway actress, and she was very passionate, black woman from the Bronx, and she fucking tore everybody apart. We had to pick a monologue to do, and I picked Mickey Featherstone I didn't pick something that was in a movie already. I picked it from the Westies, the book The Westies, Mickey Featherstone on the stand, and I was the last one to go in the class, and she tore everybody apart before she got to me, so she's like, just berating people, and I was like, oh fuck, she's gonna hate my shit, because I thought some of the people were pretty good.
Yeah.
And I did Mickey Featherstone on the stand, and it was silent for a minute, and she goes, you see, now that's acting.
Wow.
And I was like, oh shit, I guess I did good. But I never picked it up again. I left school, and at that point I was going to with my friend who we got in the fight together. He signed me up for an open mic because now I'm rapping, right?
Okay.
So I'm in New York and I'm like, you know, it was a whole different world when I got there, man.
Yeah.
Like it was cool to do that shit, and there was ciphers and all that shit. And
I Guru coming from Boston.
Yeah, he did. One of my heroes.
Best.
One of my heroes. And so I was rhyming with Joe and recording stuff in his dorm room, and he signed me up for a cipher. Now I had been writing rhymes for 9 years. And this is the first time I ever went on stage. It was at the New Eurekan Poets Cafe in LES, and I was nervous as fuck. I would have never even signed up myself, but he signed me up and they called me up, and I was like,
how old are you then? Like 20?
18.
18, okay. Damn.
And that was the first time I ever went on stage, and I rocked it. That was good. So,
yeah.
And that was the beginning. And after that, I just forgot about movies and acting.
Wow.
And screenwriting and all that. And you know, I was also very heavily into drugs now that I'm in New York. Now it was like everything is open all the time. Yeah. And you know, and I was and from then on, I was completely focused on making it as an MC.
And is this? Did you have your name Slaine? Because I know that Caves and Lords of Brooklyn.
Caves gave it to me. Like nah, everybody called me John Doe. So from that era, sometimes I see people from New York still. They'll be like, "Yo, John Doe, what's up?"
It's kind of a hard name though, man, John Doe.
But there were a few people. The reason it changed is because I think Busta Rhymes signed somebody named John Doe. There was a John Doe on Diamond D's album all around that time. So there was like a few different John Does. And Caves, I had this is a few years down the line, but I had started recording in the Lords of Brooklyn studio. And I came in one day, and Caves had this design all drawn up. He goes, "This is your new name." And I was like, "What's that?" He's like, "It's an Irish superhero, Slaine." You know.
Sick.
So that's how I got my name. Because everybody called me John Doe because I looked like I was dead. Because I was high all the time.
Well, shout out to Lords of Brooklyn, man.
Shout out to Caves,
dude. So you're just grinding up until the next thing, but the movie. But you're making music. Is the first music you make? Is it the one? Is it not Special Teams? Because your solo will be after that, right? So Special Teams.
Yeah, no, there's a ton of stuff in between there. So when I'm in New York, I'm going out. You know, I think the part that people always forget about, and I think that a lot of young artists get cheated out of this now, right? Because the internet makes it so that you can put your music out right away. So when all that stuff I recorded in Joe's dorm room, the first time we ever went to a studio, the years that I was working out in Jamaica, Queens, and MC Shan was managing me.
MC Shan, I didn't even know that. Wow.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
So I met MC Shan at a studio, this dude Reynard's studio in Jamaica, Queens, and me and Damien used to take the train out to Jamaica. We'd take a $1 van to the studio and record, and there's dozens and dozens of songs from that era where I was finding, you know, because it's one thing to be writing rhymes or getting up and doing an open mic. It's another thing to record, right? And you know, there's such a process to that where it's like, I remember taking like demos, I guess they were at home, and listening to them and be like, wow, fuck, I hate how my voice sounds. Or like, why do I have like a New York accent on this song? You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, just finding your own voice. Like it took me years to do that. Like, so before I ever put out, the first thing that I ever put out was The White Man is the Devil Volume 1. That was a mixtape that I did. And that was 10 years into my recording process. Wow. If I had put out any of the other stuff, man, like, ugh.
That's a great point to make, though, how much time you put into the craft and like your sound and your style, right?
And that's so there's 10 years of writing before I ever recorded anything, then 10 years of recording anything before I ever released anything. So that's like 20 years in the books before I ever put anything out.
Yeah, that's the mixtape first, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then but it's The World with No Skis your first actual official album?
World with No Skies.
World with No Skies. I don't know why I said skis. Sorry.
Yeah, and that came out like that was after La Coka had already got together and all that. So that was already way down the line. I had put out a couple mixtapes before that. Yeah. I had like, you know, a whole lifetime of music before that solo album got released.
Yeah, but the Coka project, I mean, that was fucking
massive.
It was massive, bro. It was the brand you could trust. Like that was just, I loved all those songs, the record, everything you guys came out with, and then like it wasn't Everlast at first, and then he came in later. I remember that, right?
Yeah, so I mean,
because it was just you, Lethal, and Danny at first, right?
Well, no, it was initially. So I met. Speaking of CB's, I met Danny Boy at CB's.
Really?
With Lords of Brooklyn, with Caves from Lords of Brooklyn, and you know, Caves had told him about me and all that, and I met Danny there, and I was super disappointed that he was sober because you know, when I saw him, I was like, I'm gonna have a beer with Danny Boy from House of Pain, you know. And he was sober. I was bummed out about that. And then it was a few years after that where I linked up with Danny Boy. And
Ill Bill was in there. That's right. Ill Bill.
Yeah, Ill Bill came. But in the very beginning of La Coka, I came out and I was crashing on Danny's couch. Danny was not sober at that point. And I
remember that.
Yeah, I crashed on Danny's couch. He got me a production deal with DJ Lethal, and I started recording with Lethal. And Lethal had two other guys signed at the time. There was this kid named Optimus, and there was a kid, a Lefty, who
Lefty, Big Left, yeah.
And he had us all signed to kind of solo deals, but I think like he ended up just putting us all together because it was easier, and
that's right. Big Left wasn't there, right? That's right.
Yeah, so we had a group called, I think it was called the Knockouts or something like that, the Knockout Kings or whatever it was, and we recorded like a 19-song demo tape and
19-song demo.
Yeah, in a week. So I came out to LA for a week, and we had a blast, man. I don't think I slept that whole week.
Wow.
And but that was actually the beginning of what La Coka was, because you know, I'm coked out of my head. Danny Boy calls over to the studio and he's asking Lefty, hey, how's it going over there? And Lefty's like, oh, it's going great. We got a regular Coka Nostra over here. And he's like, yeah, if you guys don't chill out, they're going to start calling you Coka Nostra.
Wow.
And that was how the name of the group was born, because then Danny started drawing up logos and all that. MySpace had just taken the world by storm, right? So everybody had like the best top 8 friends and like a song on their MySpace page. And Danny Boy made a La Coka Nostra MySpace page, and he just put a bunch of logos on it and some of the demos that we had started to record.
Gotcha.
And it was after that
he's so good at marketing and artwork, by the way. Shout out to Danny Boy, man. Did the House of Pain logo. Like, his shit, his vision. It's fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, that's my brother. I love Danny. So Danny kind of put all that stuff together and started. I mean, that was really built on Danny's branding more than anything. Danny didn't like all the songs that we did with Lethal, like for La Coka. So he would take some of the little freestyles or whatever and the hard shit. And when I came back to LA a little later, that's when kind of Bill came into the fold, and Everlast, and the kid Optimus was doing like some different stuff. He was more of like a singer, pop type of dude. He rapped too. He was dope, really talented kid, but he didn't kind of fit into that mold the same way.
Yeah.
And so then we started. I think I recorded something first with Everlast that was a solo track that ended up on the Gone Baby Gone soundtrack.
Oh wow.
And then I think it was those guys' first time seeing each other in years, right? Because maybe not Eric and Lethal, but definitely Danny and Everlast hadn't seen each other in a while since House of Pain broke up.
Yeah.
And the vibe was good, and we were recording, and then it just kind of magically took shape.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, being a Boston kid too, and were you a fan of House of Pain?
They were my heroes.
Wow.
They were my heroes. I had their posters on my wall.
So
it was
cool.
the first concert I ever went to.
Damn, really?
I was 14, 15 years old, and I went and saw Cypress, House of Pain, the Hooligans, which was Alchemist and Scotty Conn.
Yep, I remember that too.
I just did a movie with Scotty Conn, actually.
Oh, really?
I was telling him about that. And
I always forget he was in there, man, too.
And Funk Dubious. Yeah, and that was the first hip-hop show I ever went to.
Wow. So then working with them, it's like, holy shit, now I'm writing songs. And
it was incredible, man. It was incredible. They were literally, I mean, of course I loved all the, the legends of that era, but, I told you Beastie Boys was the first group that made me write a rhyme.
Yeah.
And then House of Pain, especially in high school at that time where, all the things that I'm into and all that. And you got this album that has the Shamrock on the front cover. You turn it over and they're in a bar room drinking beers. And I was like, this is me.
Yeah.
This is me.
Yeah.
These guys are, wearing a Celtics jersey in the video. I mean,
it's such an East Coast vibe too. I always thought they were from there before I knew them, like New York or Boston or something,
Yeah, and it was just like identification, man. I identified with that music. Like that was like something that we could really wave the flag with and feel good about it.
100%.
You know what I mean?
So when the Coka started happening, did you feel like you guys had something there? Like this was going to be some real thing, or was just something you were doing like a project?
No, I thought it was going to be. To me, it was massive. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like you got to remember. So at this time, right? So I would have different people who kind of engaged in some of the illegal trades, right? So that would back me back then, and none of that, all that shit always went south, like in a bad way. And so when I started coming out to LA, I was actually squatting in a warehouse at that time.
Wow. We
were gonna build a recording studio there. The kid who was funding it ended up getting pinched, and I stayed in that warehouse. I was living in that warehouse for 8 months with no heat or hot water. And then on the backdrop of that, Lethal's flying me out to Los Angeles, and I'm like in Hollywood, and I'm like, and then start recording with these guys. So it was like the duality of that, man. You know what I'm saying? It was just nuts. Like I was so fucked up in the game. I had already been in and out of detox, and I was unemployable at that point, and it was just like.
How are you surviving?
I was selling mixtapes. I was selling coke. I was, doing whatever I could do to get by.
That shit.
Yeah, and and that's when everything kind of all started to happen. So did I think it was just a project? Bro, I thought that I found the Holy Grail, and like, it was like a dream world. Then when you add in what happened right after that, which was the Boston Herald did a story.
Yeah, man, and Ben Affleck read it.
And Ben Affleck saw it. And then I ended up getting the role in Gone Baby Gone. So
yeah, and you had like 60 missed phone calls and shit. You woke up, you slept like 2 hours, and it was like probably a call from him, probably from whoever the people of production, right?
Yeah, casting director. And
because you got the call when you were working with the Coka Nostra too, that you got it actually, right? After all that. Yeah. You had like 5 auditions. I did my deep dives, bro. Yeah, so you're like, that's the craziest shit that Ben Affleck would read something about you. I don't know how the fuck he got your phone number and they start hitting you up.
Well, they hit up the Boston Herald and the writer who wrote the story and all that, and jamming 94.5, all the radio stations. They did the. I mean, when the studio movies want you, bro, like they fucking come and get you.
But it's like, what's cool about that? He read something about you. He didn't see anything. He wasn't on the internet looking at videos of you rhiming. He read something about you, and like it's so cool.
It didn't even exist yet. It didn't even exist.
He took a chance with somebody they never even fucking met. That wasn't an actor. It's so cool, man.
But that was that movie, though. That was
he fucking killed it, dude. Yeah,
Gone Baby Gone. He cast. Excuse me.
Yeah.
He cast so many people in that movie that were just authentic Boston people, and he was going for that. Like he wanted to get a movie that accurately depicted Boston as the backdrop for this story, this Dennis Lehane book, and he nailed it, man. It wasn't just me. There's plenty of other people he took off the street and that were fucking amazing in that movie.
Yeah,
and
but still, like where you were, like you're like squatting in a warehouse, you're going back and forth to LA, you're like on the verge of anything. You know what I mean? You could have just totally crashed. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Like there was nothing guaranteed for you at that moment.
Nothing.
Do you know what I'm saying? It was just.
But I believed that it was all gonna happen. Before it happened, I believed like that I pushed all my chips into it because I thought that it was gonna happen. Yeah. And I remember sitting in Lethal's car, and Lethal had like a dope like silver Benz, and
sure.
This is all foreign shit to me, right? Yeah. So and he ran into. We were driving through Hollywood, and he ran into a bank machine or whatever, and I remember looking up at the sun and just looking up at the sky and just crying because it was like, it's all happening.
Yeah,
it's all happening. Like this guy who I'm in the car with is somebody who jumped off of a poster from my wall.
Yeah,
and to go and do a movie with Ben Affleck, and I'll tell you, my life has continued to be surreal from them. I never have gotten to a jaded point with any of the shit. Like, I'm always in awe, like, all the time, like, where it's like, I can't believe this is my fucking life.
Yeah. What were you acting at that moment? Were you just focusing on music at that moment when they got in touch with you? Were you doing stuff? Were you auditioning?
Well, Coka had started to kind of...
Yeah, but acting, as far as acting at that point.
No, dude, I had
pushed it to the side.
I hadn't touched that shit in a decade by that point, right? So this is 8, 9 years after I left film school. So I never even thought about that again.
It's fucking life-changing, man. It's just crazy, like, how that even happened. You know what I mean? Like, you believed in you, took a chance, and, like...
But I was all in on the music, even after that. So there's an element to it where it's like getting the movie role was amazing. It was spectacular. But I was so much more nervous, like, being in the studio with, like, when B Real walked in the first time to do Fuck Tony, Montana, when we were recording that song. I remember being like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Like, I did a song with DJ Premier before that was Special Teams, and that was like...
That's huge, too.
You know, like, really having to mentally get yourself together, because, like I said, these are the guys who are all... Like, I had Gangstar records and posters on my wall, and House of Pain, and
man.
Cypress Hill. I had the Cypress Hill blacklight posters and all that. So this was, like, my childhood, my teenage, like, bedroom wall coming to life. Like, in front of my eyes. So when I got on the movie set, man, it was like, it was cool, but it wasn't that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because rappers were superheroes to me. Mm-hmm. Superheroes to me. It wasn't like, you know what I mean? Like, like Superman, Batman, and Spider-Man just walked into the room. You know what I'm saying? Like, so to go onto the movie set, it was like, cool. You know, and Ben...
When did you first meet him after that?
The first audition.
Wow.
Yeah, first audition. I walked in shit-faced, too. I walked in drunk. I got good and drunk before I went in there. And I did the audition, and they called me back in. And I remember, like, he called me in a bunch of times. And I think it was the final audition. Maybe it was the fourth audition. And and I was still reading off the paper, the lines off the paper. He goes, I want you to put that paper down. He goes, forget about the lines. He goes, you know what happens in the story, right? So think about it like you're telling a story, but you're the one in the story. Yeah. He goes, because I know you can do it, but some of the people that are making this movie, they're a little nervous because you've never acted before. Yeah. So let's see what you can do without the paper. And I've been doing that ever since, really. Really? Yeah, like instead, and I understood what he wanted. He's like, I want you to be, like, this guy, these people, like, you are these people, like, just bring that into the.
And so you killed it without the paper?
Yeah, right there. And then when I started to figure out what it was like, oh man, like, that became like very simple to me. And granted, like, for the first 2 movies I did, it was right in my wheelhouse. Like, it's like I could just. If it wasn't something I did, it was something somebody I know did, and I could really kind of not think about too much external stuff and just be in the scene, and it was a great education in that stuff. Yeah, and that movie, grossed like fucking, I don't know, 34 million or something, according to the interwebs. 34 million. It was a pretty big movie, man. Well. Wasn't as big as The Town would be, but The Town. But does this put you on the map in a sense when this comes out? Just eyes on you. Yeah, so I think especially since you came on. I don't know. My life changed very drastically after that. My high school sweetheart I talked about before, she kicked me out, and we broke up, and I hadn't spoken to her in about a year and a half or whatever, and it was based on my drinking and drug use. Yeah. And she came into so I had like food poisoning right around that time, and I called her to like help me, And I'm in this warehouse, and she comes over, and she's in the warehouse. Yeah, she's like, "What the fuck are you doing here? Like, what are you living here? You like staying here?" And she was horrified, right? Yeah. And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, I just got in a movie. And she's like, "What?" Like she it was beyond her, like any of the stuff that happened, and. So you get in that movie and you're living in a warehouse. Yeah. The first day I went to the set she was like, you can't stay here and then just go onto a movie set. So she rented a hotel for the night for us. And she took me to like a CVS and got me a bunch of toiletries and all that.
Oh my God.
So it's because I can't take a regular shower in that place because there's no hot water. So like I would soap up and I'd jump under the freezing cold water and I'm like doing the fucking pee-pee dance under it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I have rashes all over my body and stuff like that. And so the first day I walk onto set with like a little trash bag full of toiletries. And the PA was like, you know, if you need anything, we can just get it for you. Like, we can get all that stuff. You don't have to bring, like, your own. And I was like, oh, all right. Cool.
Got the catering there and shit.
Oh, dude, the catering is so good, too. I'm feasting. I'm like, you know, lobster tails and all that, which is not on every movie, but it was on that one. They had a great catering service.
Does anybody know your reality at that point, like where you're actually coming from, where you're sleeping? Nobody really knows your situation.
I don't think so.
Wow. And obviously,
dude, honestly, what at that time, like, for me to tell that story, like, it's a story that I've told often at this point, obviously, but in retrospect, it's a story. But in the moment, it ain't a fucking story. It's just somewhere that I'm crashing. Like, that's just, you know what I mean? Like, it was more like, you know, like it all started off with good intentions. We were building a recording studio in that spot. It had like framework done. In fact, my mattress that I had tucked in the corner, I used to climb up a ladder on the framework and go to the mattress in the back because it was out of sight. So if somebody came in, like, I wasn't paying to be there or anything. So I was like in the back corner of the thing. If anybody seen me, I could suss it out like from a bird's eye view. It wasn't like an odd thing to me at that point, oddly enough. You know what I mean? It was just like, I'm just doing what I got to do to get by right now. And I have this big thing that's about to happen, and I just got to hold on. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, before getting the movie, like, I got this thing that I got a fucking pre-production deal with DJ Lethal. Like, my shit is dope. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, that's where my mentality was like, it's only a matter of time. My shit is dope. I'm one of the best dudes there is at this shit. I'm going to make it. Like, that's where my fucking head was.
Yeah, I love that, dude. So you got the Coka, and now you're in this movie. Yeah, you signed with Lethal, and then now you're fucking doing a movie with Ben Affleck.
And then the Coka starts to really take off, too. You know, now, I don't know if you remember that.
Coke was the first single, right? I think it was That's Coke.
It might have been.
Yeah. There's also a remix.
No. Snoop Dogg, Fuck Tony Montana was the first one that we dropped on MySpace, and it got 1 million plays in 2 days or something like that. And
wow.
That's when I was like...
That shit was hard, too. Damn. That was the first one, Fuck Tony Montana?
Yeah.
Wow. And then that was 2009, I think. Right?
No, but that came out on MySpace. So that album came out in 2009, but if you remember, it took a long time for the album to come out.
You're right, it did.
We were actually doing that shit in 2006. That's when all the hype really started.
Okay.
That's when, I don't know.
You were right, because there was a buzz. There were logos, there were T-shirts.
Everywhere.
Way before the album.
Everywhere, the T-shirts. So were you in LA at that time?
Yeah, and the hats with the LA, the Coka. All
and then the New York one. Yeah, the Coka with the LA hats with the Coka on it.
It was great marketing, man. Didn't you?
Dude, we were crushing it with merch, and everybody was rocking that shit.
Way before the album.
Way before the album. As a matter of fact, in hindsight, I know we all probably wish we dropped the album then. We would have fucking sold way more, right? And the album still did well, but I mean, for that, in 2006, 2007... It was like, in hindsight, like, strike while the iron's hot. It was massive. Like, it was so big at that time.
Who put the record out?
It ended up coming out on Suburban Noise.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah, man, because there's a song, I'm an American with Be Real. Mm-hmm. And there's like Bang Bang with Snoop Dogg.
Which is huge. I mean, when I look at the streaming numbers for that Coka record, it's crazy. That song Bang Bang has like almost 20 million streams or something. And that record came out like 5 years before streaming even existed.
Yeah.
So when you think about it in those terms, it's like, man.
Yeah. Well, so the response for that was, did you expect it to be big, or were you happy with the Coka Nostra, or did you want it to last longer? Or you got too busy with acting and stuff?
No, I mean, look, to me, my number one priority was La Coka.
Yeah.
My number one priority was hip-hop. I turned down some movie roles in retrospect that you know, because we had tours and stuff like that. Yeah. And but, you know, it all is what it is, man. Yeah. And it was all fucking magic with that stuff. Of course, I wished it was, you know, I wish we rode off into the sunset with it and all that. Yeah. But
We did some great tours, though, man. Great shows.
Yeah, and you know that was the only record that Everlast was on. But you know we made a great follow-up record too, Masters of the Dark Arts.
That's right.
And
yeah, man.
I mean, when I got to town, we had a tour, and I remember calling the guys. It was hard because we had a big European tour. We were doing really well at the time too.
Yeah.
And I remember having to call everybody and be like, I can't do the tour. I got a movie role, you know. And it was it didn't go over well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but at the end of the day, everybody gave me their blessing, and they went and did the tour without me.
Yeah.
And that was also life-changing, man. I mean, even to this day, like probably what I'm most well known for is that movie.
Yes. And were you doing stuff in between before leading up to the town, doing more acting? Or were you too busy?
I wasn't. I thought it might just be a one-off. Like I wasn't in the union yet. I didn't have an agent or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe Ben will call me again, or
you just went back to the warehouse, back working on music.
No, but by that point, so
your lady's
I
back.
got back with my high school sweetheart.
That's amazing, yeah.
And we got married, and she rescued me, which was like the theme, which was the problem, you know. But yeah, and we got married, and we had a little boy, and you know, so that warehouse shit was in the past. And now at this stage of the game, I was making a good living. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
We did very well, like going on the road, and you know. And the movie stuff started to happen, and you know, I went from being in that situation I was in to living a upper middle class lifestyle.
Wow, how old's your son now?
He's 14 now.
Damn, it's crazy. We're gonna get to that later, but yeah, it goes by fast, man. Having kids, man.
It's so scary, man.
It really is, because like we're getting older and our kids are growing, and then like, not to be more, but how we talk about like we see our age, we see their age, we see like. You know, we start seeing like the future of your life and what's next, and then you want to be there forever for your kids, and you know what I'm saying? Like, fuck. How was the audition for the town? Did you really have to do a lot of auditions because of the previous with Ben?
No. Well, I did one audition for that, and here's how it went. So at this point, I knew the casting people, right? So.
Were you sobered up by then or no?
No.
Damn, bro. It's crazy you're killing all this shit not being sober, by the way.
Well, I'm very functional.
I'm not promoting
when I'm drinking and getting high. I mean, here's why. It gets rid of any fear, insecurity, or any doubt that I have. And I can, when I was saying, like, I think I'm the fucking dopest. Like, I believe this is going to happen. The booze and the drugs makes me be capable of that. Because when you take those away, then now I'm left with my overactive mind and the self-doubt and the insecurity and the little kid who lives inside of me who says you're not fucking good enough, or whatever the voice is that says that, right?
Totally.
That's why I drink and get high, because it makes that feeling go away. And now I feel like anything is possible and I can fucking do it, right? Like it's courage. It gave me courage when I needed it at that time. So
confident and all that,
At that time, when I went in for that audition, I had been tipped off by somebody in the casting office that Ben might not think that I'm right to play a Charlestown guy, you know, because I think he viewed me as like a hip-hop artist or whatever. And Charlestown's not that. Charlestown is like the kids I knew growing up from Charlestown, they listened to like Morrissey.
Okay.
And, you know what I'm saying? Like they didn't want anything to do with like black music in that era. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying it's like that right now. Sometimes you say something like that.
I'm sure it's
people
way different
take it
now.
out of pocket, but
yeah,
at that time, I think it was just like I don't think he saw me as that character. So I went into that audition thinking like I need to do something here that's like really gonna live in that world right there. So you know, the line was, "I'm just trying to make this sound authentic."
Yeah.
And so in the audition, I went and I said, "Nah, you've got it all fucked up. I'm trying to make this shit sound authenticious."
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And they all fucking started laughing, right? And that's how I got the role. I did one audition for it.
Wow, man. So he's there too.
Yeah, he liked me as an actor, obviously. Anyways, like he discovered me, man. He picked me out. I love Ben Affleck so much, man. Like he is a good dude, a great fucking guy, and an incredible artist, man. I want to say that because I think he doesn't get the credit that he deserves as being a great artist. He's a great, like, when you look at, forget about the stuff that I'm in, Argo. You know, when have you ever seen a movie win Best Picture and the director doesn't get nominated as Best Director? It doesn't even get nominated. Like, what the fuck is that? I mean, I think he's really a brilliant storyteller, and it gets overlooked a lot.
Yeah, and it's crazy how he saw something in you before he met you, just by reading about you, and believed in you, and he was right. You're a talented actor, and you killed it, and you stepped up to the plate, and then you got, after that, just showed that you could. I don't know. I think it's awesome, man. Like, it's really cool.
I'm eternally grateful to that man for seeing that in me and pulling that out of me, and then, you know, my life changed from that. Like,
was he coaching you during the movie and stuff?
Not like Ben told me, if you ever take an acting class, I'll never hire you again.
Okay.
which I held true to for a long time, but I decided against that a few years back. But
did you feel pressure doing the town after what we just did with him before? Or?
Nah, okay. I felt cool as a fan going on. For some reason, man, you know what? When I'm nervous and on camera, is doing rap videos. Because I feel very awkward, like rapping to a camera, mouthing the words. I hate it. I fucking hate it.
It is weird.
Recently, like, I've tried to incorporate, like, the Legend of the Fall video, which I'm very proud of. It's something off my last record, and it's more acting. Yeah. Where I walk into the diner and I ultimately, like, meet myself, and I'm like airing out my grievances to myself. I like that because I'm acting and I'm not, like, looking at the camera to rap. Like, I'm in a scene. I enjoy that. Like, there's something that's, to me, I feel very natural. I never feel intimidated. I never feel self-conscious because I'm another character. Yeah. Right? I never have to be like, oh, does my hair look right? Or do I look fucking fat? Or what? Mm-hmm. You know, the freedom in it is, it's not me. Yeah. I'm in a different character right now. In the moment, all I have to do is get into this moment and be this person in this moment and react how this person would react and feel how this person would feel. And it's like reality melts away and I could just be in this moment. And I fucking love it. It's like there's something that's like really free about it.
I was going to say freeing too. Yeah. So you start taking just as much as seriousness as rhyming and writing and emceeing with the town starting then about acting? You start focusing more on that? Or you just kind of just doing whatever?
Not even, man.
You weren't really tripping on it.
I wasn't tripping on it because, I mean, to an extent, like the first 8 auditions I did, I got 6 of them. And I would blow them off too, man. Like I would get auditions and I wouldn't show up, and they would like call and be like, where is he? Can he come in tomorrow? You know what I mean? Which is fucking like, I would never do that now. I don't, and I'm surprised they would even call the guy. And sometimes I would get the role despite blowing the audition off, come in, reading it off the paper, and I'd still get the fucking role. Wow. Which reversed, by the way. But
do you automatically get a manager and an agent too, right?
No, it was even after that. I mean, dude, I think for like a guy of my type, and especially at that time, I was like probably 60 pounds heavier than I am now, and like it wasn't like I was a 22-year-old like handsome, square-jawed, like potential fucking superstar. Yeah. Or you know what I mean? It was like there wasn't people beating down my door to represent me, but I did ended up getting represented at ICM for a little while. I've been in and out of different situations like that. None of them have really paid huge dividends for me. Mostly everything I've ever got has been the same, where they reach out to me and they want me for something. I've never really had a ton of success in like going and doing a ton of auditions and like working the circuit. And I did that after I got sober for a while, like very seriously. I was like, all right, now I'm really going to give this my focus, and I'm going to go super hard. Yeah. And I went 0 for 100 in auditions when I did that. Yeah. When I wanted it and I fucking needed it, it fucking ran away from me. When I chased it, it ran.
I remember you came out to Hollywood too, right? You were super focused on it, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So did the town totally change your life? In the sense it's putting your name out there? And
in a lot of ways it did.
In good ways.
In a lot of good ways, and it still has a positive effect on my life. I mean, a lot of it's given me between La Coka and particularly the town. I'm not, definitely I think I've done like 15 movies now.
Yeah.
So, you know, I love in general acting, but there's certain things that obviously like give you a different platform. So I think the town and the Coka really probably gave me like whatever platform I have now, which is still very humble, man. You know, it's not like I really have had like a blue collar career. It's not like I'm a movie star or a huge rap star or whatever. Like I have a following that I appreciate, that I'm eternally grateful for. I've gotten to be part of some very cool fucking things. And I just try to stay in that gratitude, man. Because when I chase it, or I think I need this fucking next thing, it's like, no, you don't. You don't need anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You need to be a good father to your son. You need to be a good friend to your friends. That's all you fucking really need, right?
Yeah.
Like, just fucking be a good dude. Like, whatever comes. I don't chase the shit anymore, man.
Yeah, I love that. Plus, you're in a totally different place now, which we'll get to. It was variety and everything in your life. But the town is number one at the box office, which is fucking crazy. And there was like a ensemble cast award too for that, right?
Yeah, that was cool.
Man.
I mean, in that moment, right? So
92 million supposedly, and 154 million worldwide or something.
Yeah, and I mean, bro, at this point, everybody's seen that shit.
Does that work for you, like royalties and stuff like that, or no?
Yeah, so any movie you do, you get 4 residual checks every year. You get quarterly earnings.
Sick.
So,
okay.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I mean, that one was done pretty well.
Yeah, that's really. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. That's awesome. I was always wondered that.
I mean, there's movies where you get like $1.68, like or whatever, and then there's other ones that do really fucking well, you know.
I had Drea from Sopranos on here, and she got no money from The Sopranos from it being in syndication, but they got money from DVDs. But James Gandolfini gave them each a check for $30K, brought him into his trailer when the DVD came out for Sopranos, and it sold like 1 million copies the first week. So he took care of them, you know. It's crazy, man, how that works.
He was a good dude, man.
You got to work with him. I know, I saw that too.
I didn't get to work with him. We were in the same, and then I met him afterwards, and he was just
boom, right there, killing him softly,
really good dude.
Ray Liotta too. Did you get to work with him or see him?
Well, I worked directly with Liotta, and I put his head through a window.
Yeah, kill me softly. Yeah. Damn, my wife loves him. We have a picture of him in the hallway. She thinks he's so hot. I'm like,
now that was the first time I was ever starstruck on a movie set. Because he came over, he's like, what are you fucking rapping? You're a rapper, huh? Let me hear you rap. Go ahead, rap. And I was like, my tongue fucking swelled up in my throat. I couldn't even speak, dude. I was like, wow. Fucking Ray Liotta.
Yeah. You know? Is he like intense in real life and shit?
Yeah, he's like, you know, rest in peace to Ray Liotta and James Gandolfini. Really,
I know, dude. So without working with Ray Liotta, that was like, holy shit.
And the other thing is, Gandolfini is my hero. Like, especially in the acting stuff, man. I love James Gandolfini. He's like, and Liotta too. So like, those guys are hero. Talk about superheroes. Those were superheroes to me.
Yeah.
You know?
How about Gandolfini's first movie, True Romance, dude? Oh my God, bro.
I love True Romance.
Yo, that scene, like that's like his first pretty much role, I think, with Patricia Arquette. It was incredible.
I think that's why I like him so much too, because his career prior to The Sopranos looked a lot like mine. You know what I mean? It's you know, he makes the most of these he has principal roles, but they're smaller roles. They're roles that highlight the other roles, and I think like to really like own those parts and like make those memorable. That's a thing, man, that I really admire about him and have tried to do in my own work, you know?
Yeah, it was crazy seeing him in some other movies. Like maybe one of the last movies he did, it was like a love story, kind of like seeing him not as Tony Soprano. It's so hard to like separate the two because Sopranos was such an incredible show, man.
It's a gift and the curse, right? Like when you're on something that's that iconic and that memorable, you become that character to everybody, right?
Yeah.
So like people see you as that character. It's the power of media. I mean, people have. So after The Town came out, it changed my life in this way. Like La Coka was popping, and being a white Irish kid from Boston in a group with House of Pain and in these iconic Boston movies.
Yeah.
Like, life got uncomfortable and weird for a little while there. You know what I mean? At home, and I wasn't used to that because Boston. There's an element where, you know, I moved around to all these different neighborhoods, and I always kind of felt like an outsider, even though I wasn't technically. I think a lot of that was my alcoholism and addiction, my mind that told
paranoia about it, maybe, right?
And but I now felt like different then, because people would stop and people would come up to me,
you and shit, right?
or people would want to fight me, or people would, whatever. But it was like, it became very surreal for a moment there, and I was like, I don't like this. I don't like to be singled out or pointed at, or that wasn't really, that was my first taste of fame, I guess.
Yeah. And do you move out where you live into a different spot, neighborhood and
stuff? Well, that's when I was really coming back and forth to LA a lot more, and I was going through a divorce, and I was really kind of spiraling into my addiction at that time too. It's crazy,
even with both those movies and the music and everything, like it shows you the power of addiction, the power of all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter if you're having all this success, you got a lady, you got a kid, like that stuff is like, it's in you. You know what I'm saying? Like it's really.
Yeah, I mean, I was a drug addict and an alcoholic who was in and out of detox before any of that happened. So that is not going to make it any better, because you're taking that same kid and now giving him,
they got money too.
You got the means to drink and get high however you want to, and I could justify it. Like, I'm fucking successful. I'm not like my friends that are dying and going to jail.
And you're still getting roles, and you're still making music. It's not affecting my life because I'm still working, right? That was the illusion. I'm invincible.
That's what it felt like.
Fuck. So now you're back into the music after that. After the town comes out, right? It's back in the Coka and everything, right?
Yeah, and that was.
You did other movies too: The Cape, The Body Approved, Bad Blood movie. 2 movies with Grillo, Little Dixie, and Wheelman. We love Grillo, man.
Yeah, I saw you with him the other night. I saw him the other night.
I know, I saw that. I love that, dude.
Well, the reality of it, man, is
sorry to cut you, but after that, is it people start hitting you up for roles? Is it? But you're saying no, because also then, like you said, you're like the white Irish kid in both these movies from Boston. You're in a hip hop group, like kind of stereotyped as this one kind of character.
Yeah, and I think on Killing Them Softly, I was going through a divorce. I went down there. I was good in that movie, and I think after that though, like it became difficult because I think I inadvertently, what I didn't know, because nobody tells you, is that I may have burned some things to the ground with the way that I acted. Not on set. I was never a problem for anybody on set or anything like that. But I think my reputation started to speak for itself with the drinking, with the drug use, with the, some of that stuff. And I think it took me a long time after that, like to really be sought after for anything. It seems like it's coming around this year, oddly enough. But
did you not realize at that moment, because you're in it, right? You're still partying, doing that. You're not thinking it has any effect on you, but it really was.
I mean,
like your reputation.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about it from that aspect, nor did I give a fuck. I actually thought that it was more. I thought I needed that shit to be able to do anything, to be creative.
Confidence, all that shit.
I needed it. Like, I didn't even know how to fucking tie my sneakers sober. It's funny. I remember talking to your wife at a show, and I was in a bad way, and I don't remember all the details of the conversation, but I remember being really like in a deep depression, talking to her about how I can't get off of drugs and alcohol. I just remember that when I saw her walk by in the hallway.
Shit.
But yeah, man. So I mean, I never thought it wasn't a problem. I knew I had a problem, but I didn't know how to live without it.
Yeah, it's heavy, man. That's like real life shit. Even especially having a child too, and still trying to maintain and be responsible. You know what I'm saying? Be a dad and balance your career too. Doing it all.
Yeah, and feeling like it was yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot, man.
Are you going to rehab too? Do you go to rehab again after the town or after that stuff?
I never technically went to rehab.
Or hit rock bottom or something?
Yeah, yeah. So I was sober for the longest I'd ever been when I was shooting the town, 77 days. That was the longest I'd ever been sober for. I knew it was like a massive opportunity. I couldn't fuck it up. And but right at the end of that, I relapsed and went on another run. And then, I got divorced, and then I was really drinking and getting high with a vengeance, because now I could fucking do what I want to do without hearing her, barking at me or whatever. Because that had gotten,
Meanwhile, she had your back the whole time. It seems like,
dude, it's one of my biggest. It's one of my biggest. I can't say it's a regret now, because I believe that everything happened the way it was supposed to happen, and I needed it to happen. I wouldn't have got sober if it wasn't for the events that happened after that. And I'm super, like, you know, it's like a real, to me, it's like I have like such a sense of love for her and happiness that she has been able to remarry and have other children.
Oh, she has. Okay.
Yeah. And like, you know, her kids call me Uncle George, and like, you know, awesome, we're friends, and her husband's a great guy. He's a great stepdad to my son. Like, to be able to experience that and be grateful for that is like, to me, that's like really the biggest kind of landmark in my recovery, is that I'm capable of that, because I was not capable of that kind of gratitude or that kind of I don't know what the word is, that I maybe that kind of selflessness, you know what I mean, like, because I was selfish and I was egoic and I was fucking angry, and you know, I was like a little kid in a grown man's body. I wasn't capable of some of the things that I am now, you know.
Like this emotion and feelings and talking about shit and communication, right, and all that, right, because you keep it all up inside and you're kind of running from yourself in a way too, right. They're also at the same time getting in front of yourself, right, kind of blocking your whole shit, right.
I mean, I think like
getting in the way of yourself, I guess.
The understanding that like all of this shit is meant, you know, the experience of life, the pain, the trials and tribulations, the love, the great times, the amazing shit. I mean, it's all part of the same fucking thing. You can't have one without the other. It's all meant to be. It's all part of the fucking story. We need it all. You know?
How long are you sober now for?
I'm coming up on 9 years in March.
Holy shit, that's incredible, man. Because I remember running into you a bunch of times throughout the years, sober, not sober, working out, trimmed down, working on movies, all the, you know what I'm saying, the different versions of you, you know what I mean? Like, but it wasn't like you weren't giving up on yourself. You kept trying to, you know what I'm saying, make a change for yourself, you know? That's incredible, man. 9 years, bro. Holy shit.
It's the struggle. It's the battle. And you know, and I'm not perfect. You know what I'm saying?
Nobody's perfect,
I struggle with a lot of fucking things still, you know. I make mistakes, and now I don't have booze and drugs to blame them on. And but, you know, I show up, man. I show up and I give my best effort with everything.
And then even writing lyrics sober or reading script sober and shit like that, because you never did that. You know what I'm saying? That's a whole new version of you. I
mean, the journey with acting, man, I feel like, you know, right now I'm kind of at like a second shot with this. Because, you know, I've been acting like semi-consistently over the years. But I got 4 movies in the last 6 months, and like getting to do some really cool things and work with some cool people, and got some projects I'm looking forward to working on in the future. And
awesome, man.
So, I mean, but I had to let go of it for it to come back.
Yeah. And did you lose agents and managers and all that shit throughout all that?
All of it.
Yeah, all of it. Yeah.
All of it. And I walked away from it. And I just started at the beginning of the pandemic. I canceled all the touring. We had to, right?
Yeah, we had to.
I had like 35 shows that got canceled. And I was home for the first time. I had just moved back to Boston. I was living bi-coastally for 10 years. I'd fly back and forth to LA. But I was home, and I just started going out and speaking. And I would go to sober livings and speak and tell my story and connect with people and halfway
houses. Was it hard the first time?
And detoxes. No, I had been doing that since I got sober, but now I was really doing it, because now it's the pandemic, and I was like, you know,
really get to focus on
Zoom
yourself.
Meetings weren't cutting it. And a friend of mine who was running a treatment center, he had asked me when I was going through a really hard time about 6 months before the pandemic to come out and speak. So I went out and spoke at his place, and then he was like, "You should run some groups, man. Like, you're really good in that room." And so I started like teaching like about step work and some of the things, and highlighting some of my experience and breaking stuff down on the board. Must have came from my parents being teachers, right? But I found like a real passion in that. And it's also like, I'm used to being on stage and to addressing people or whatever it is.
But it's still different, though. It's got to be different.
It is, but it's very natural for me to get up and talk to a group of people, and especially about something that I care about. So I started doing that, and then, you know, the pandemic came. He's like, "Hey, man, why don't you join the team?" And I was like, "I'm busy. I got torn." And then the pandemic came, so I ended up doing that and working with him, and I'm running groups 3 times a week. And over the course of that time, because I knew nothing about like the treatment industry or how it worked or anything. And I started to learn that, the good, the bad, and the ugly, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I was kind of one of those things where the universe presents these things, and I linked up and met with some guys that I had known for a while, local guys who are like developers and different backgrounds, clinicians and real estate guys and all that, and you know, they were talking about being interested in opening what I thought would make a great facility, like a detox and
Charles River Recovery,
and that's how it started. And
so cool, man.
So when you talk about like the most unlikely shit, I never would have like, if you talk about 10 years ago, me being like part of the creation process of a detox and clinical stabilization facility. I mean, it's also in network, which means like we take the Mass Health state insurance. We take the, you know, the goal is I've learned a lot about this. It's a lot of work to get it all in place.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But we do have in-network contracts with most of the bigger insurance providers. So like I'm able to really help and get a lot of people in. Like, yeah,
it's amazing.
So it's not like what I learned is a lot of these places are very elite and high end. And like, if you don't have the premium insurance, you can't get in, and that's not this. Okay. So, and that was part of what I highlighted when I was talking with them. Like if you could do something that was somehow could service a greater part of the population, because people would hit me up and I was like, and I would find resources for everybody, but the less resources they have, the more difficult it gets.
Totally.
So I tried to familiarize myself over the course of that 2 years of really the pandemic and the world shutting down with what every place is in Massachusetts specifically, although I got a network that extends across the country now, but to look into like what each place fucking takes, so that anybody who reaches out to me for help, that I can find a resource that's going to suit their situation, whether they have no insurance, whether they have state insurance, whatever it is.
Everybody.
I need to be equipped with the knowledge and the tools to be able to find a place for anybody who reaches out to me.
Yeah, I love that.
And that started because like just doing my own recovery thing. I'd be like, hey, if you need help, like when I was 1 year sober, reach out to me and I'll point you in the right direction. And then people started hitting me up and I was like, oh, fuck, what do you do with somebody who has like a primary mental health disorder? Or what do you do with somebody who's this or that? And then I'm calling people. So this is how it kind of evolved. Calling people, realizing I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Like, how the fuck can I help this guy? Like I said I could help somebody, but how do I do it?
Yeah.
It's like, well, dude, you fucking said you could help someone, so figure it out and find out and learn and meet these fucking people who get these resources and these funds that give scholarships to people and these sober livings that take people in these situations.
Yeah.
And this, that, and the third. And then, so now coming up on 9 years, it's like, I got that together now and have a team and all that stuff in place, man. So that's like
beautiful, man. It's got to feel really great, man.
It's a cool thing to be able to do, man.
To be sober for 9 years and helping people, like it's awesome, man.
That's the key.
Yeah. But you've been helping people too through your music, people that love your music and everything you put out. It helps people as well. But this is some other level of giving and sharing and inspiring and leading by example, and right, like.
Well, it's also like my community.
Yeah.
It's where I'm from, and it's like, you know, these are the people that gave me my platform. These are, you know, like when we were selling those mixtapes, man, I was selling those mixtapes. It's almost like an amends because I was writing about the drug culture in Boston as an active participant in it. Mm. The first 50 CDs that I printed up, we gave a stack to a bunch of different drug dealers, and if you wanted a 40 bag of Coke, it was $50 and you had to take the CD.
Wow.
So we sold 13,000 CDs like that. And this drug culture that was in Boston gave me my platform. Mm. So now this is like, this is how I can give back and reach in and try to get people out of it to the other side, man. Because I lost a lot of people behind that shit. I lost a lot of my dear friends.
Wow. That's crazy. Think about it like that. There wasn't no one moment 9 years ago like a rock bottom where you felt like
Oh,
it was
dude.
over for you, like life.
Oh, 100%. Oh, did you ask me a rock bottom and I glanced over that?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know,
like a moment. I don't know.
In the life of an addict and an alcoholic, we experience thousands of rock bottoms.
Yeah.
Emotional rock bottoms, financial rock bottoms, personal rock bottoms. And none of it was ever enough to wake me up. None of the deaths, none of the almost fucking things that almost happened, none of the emergency room visits, none of the...
Almost overdose too?
I got dropped off at Brigham and Women's Hospital and left in the front door, and I had a series of small heart attacks. They told me I had a series of heart attacks when I was 23 years old.
Holy shit,
and
dude.
Left the emergency room to go get high again the next day.
Wow, man.
But I think like what did it for me, and I've actually, it's so much more comfortable for me to talk about stuff in music. Like I have always kind of reserved this stuff for speaking in the halls and the rooms that I go to and stuff like that. But yeah, it was the moment I realized that it was affecting my son. I left him waiting on the steps for me.
It's heavy, man. Yeah.
And he told his mother, "Mommy, Daddy tricked us again." And that sentence.
Oh man. It made me emo on my own. That moment, man. I feel you on that.
It broke my heart in a way that I can't even describe how badly it broke my heart. You know. And that was like what gave me, and I didn't get sober right then because I drank and got high over that feeling. And I came back to LA, and I knew like going to the program doesn't work for me because I tried it 1,000 times and it never worked. And I was like, I'm just gonna smoke weed, and that doesn't work for me.
Like California
neither.
Sober, they call it. Just like weed.
It doesn't work for me neither. And I actually went to a Madball show. I think it was February 28th, 2014. It was down, what's that place down in Southern Cali? I forget.
It's here?
Yeah. It's
downtown?
No. It's in down south, like an hour south from here.
Chain Reaction?
Observatory. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe that was what it was.
Yeah, that's it probably, yeah.
And I got through that show without drinking, but I had like one beer at the end of the night, and that's enough to set me off because I like, fuck it. And then I went on a 3-day bender after that, and that was it. That was the last time that I ever drank. I went to a meeting at the Comedy Store on Sunset. It was Danny Boy's meeting. Danny had tried to help me get sober 1,000 times.
I'm sure, man. Shout out to Danny Boy again, man.
And it was the first time I went in there hopeless, like where I thought, this doesn't work. It's not going to work for me. I've tried this 1,000,000 times and it doesn't work, but I didn't know where else to go. I had nowhere else to go. And I was fucking heartbroken. And I thought I was a piece of shit as a human being. And I thought I was a piece of shit as a father. But I loved my son so much, and I still do, obviously. But I loved him so much that I was like, I need to try to do this again for him.
Yeah.
And they say like you got to do it for yourself. You can't get sober for someone else. That's bullshit.
Yeah. Because
I didn't fucking love myself enough to get sober for myself. I loved my son more than enough to it gave me the willingness to do the work, right? So I just dove into the program. And I started doing it a day at a fucking time, man, and it was fucking hard.
Yeah.
It was hard.
Did your son know you were doing it?
No, he was too young. He was 5. The beauty of it is that he doesn't remember that. He doesn't remember what happened. He doesn't remember. And I think
that is beautiful.
Thank the universe.
Unless he's listening to the podcast right now. But no. Yeah. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, wow.
He remembers me like this now.
Yeah, fuck, man. It's so cool. Whole new dad, man.
Yeah.
Whole new human. You must feel amazing, right? You must feel amazing with life now. It's like a whole new world for you. 9 years, a long fucking time, dude.
I got to raise him and watch him grow up and be there for all the good stuff, man, and for all the important moments, I hope. And he got to watch me learn how to be a dad. Yeah.
Yeah, seems you're in a good place.
I'm happy, man.
Yeah.
I'm happy and I'm healthy, and gratitude is the foundation for all abundance, and I am filled with gratitude every day. I'm grateful for the friends that I have. I'm grateful for the the experiences that I've had, the good and the bad. I'm grateful.
Yeah.
I'm grateful. I have an abundance of love and friendship in my life, and I get opportunities to do cool stuff.
Yeah.
But the best thing about the music and the movies and all that stuff is not like any sort of fame or money it's brought my way. Although I am grateful that I've been able to provide a life for my family.
Yeah, man.
But the best thing about it has been the relationships and the friendships and the different people that I've met from different backgrounds and cultures and different creativity and the talented people, and just there's so much life.
Yeah.
There's so much life that I've gotten to experience, you know?
Yeah. Do you feel like a totally new person being sober?
I feel that, you know, now I just feel like me, but I remember I remember when I was like 6 months sober, feeling like somebody had dropped me into somebody else's life. Like, whose fucking life is this? Like, because my whole shit was built by a drug addict.
Yeah. Yeah.
My whole life was designed by a fucking active alcoholic and drug addict, and now you drop me in, and it's like I don't have any coping skills. I don't have any way to navigate life. My only way to navigate life was booze and drugs. And now I got to figure it out, and I got to unsort this mess that this dude caused. And it's overwhelming. Like, I didn't pay my taxes for fucking 7 years. I mean, dude.
All the grown-up shit.
Yeah, to walk in and have to, like, become a fucking man.
Adult.
Like, and it's like, I feel like I got to do this overnight. And they told me, no, you don't. You just have to do it one day at a fucking time. You just got to do it today. Don't drink or use today. Don't hurt anybody today. Suit up and show up for what you're supposed to show up for.
Yeah.
And it will get better over time. Oh, it's fucking brutal. Because
every day
in the beginning, now it's not. Now it's not hard. But in the beginning, it was fucking brutal.
Yeah, I can't imagine, man.
Because I don't know how to show up for life. I don't know how to do anything sober. I don't know how
face
to
things sober and shit. Yeah.
I don't know how to talk to people. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how to interact. I don't know how to do any of that sober.
Was it changing your writing skills too? Your writing.
Well, that was the other thing. Is I couldn't write for the first time. I never had writer's block ever, and now I can't write. And I'm in the studio, and I'm like, fuck. If I had a drink. You know,
it's great. Yeah,
I need to take a sniff of something right now. I need something. I need something. I can't write anything. This sucks. Fucking sucks.
Fuck.
In the booth, headphones on. Do it again. Bring it back. Bring it back. Do it again. Fucking sucks. Fucking sucks. Leave the fucking studio.
Wow.
You know, I hate it. I hate it. This sucks. This verse sucks. This music, you know what I mean? And then I'm listening to it on the car ride, going, it's actually pretty good. It's not that bad.
And different things to sing about too and talk about too.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Now I'm like a year in, and I'm doing all my old songs, and I'm like, fuck, what the fuck? Now, dude, when I did the Cypress shows with Ill Bill, about a month ago, and I was struck by how fucking different I am now. And I said it to Bill. I go, dude, we're fucking different now. Like, we say some crazy shit in these songs. And Bill said something really profound to me. I'm paraphrasing it. But he said, but that's the beauty of it, bro. These are time capsules. You're not beholden to that person forever. He goes, as a matter of fact, it's a cautionary tale. And it tells people that you can make it out the other side. You don't have to die like that.
Wow. That's amazing, man. So real. Shout out to Ill Bill too, man. Another incredible MC. I got the nonfiction fucking box set right here. I
noticed that right when I sat down. I love Bill.
Are both your parents still around?
Yes.
Okay. And did you ever reconnect with your dad ever?
No.
Wow. Do you think he knows anything? I'm sure he's looked you up.
No, he does. I mean, I know where he is and everything. I just I don't speak with him.
Is he sober?
Yeah. My father didn't have a drug and alcohol problem. And I'm tight with my mother, and, you know.
She's got to be so proud, man. Seen all the different versions of you. And
yeah, my mom, you know, like my mom, she is a creative also. So I think, like, I don't know. I don't think she really loves my music, but.
Yeah, but she knows it's helping you. It's very therapeutic, all the shit you doing. I feel like music pretty much saved you too, in a sense too, regardless of the path you're on, as far as
100%. Well, it almost killed me too, but it definitely, so the writer's block stuff. Like 3 years into my sobriety, I was like, it's never coming back. Like I'm never gonna have the creativity back until I realized, like, this shit is in me. The universe doesn't give you a talent to lie dormant and not be used. I just needed to rebalance my life. Like,
yeah,
I think I needed to be shown that shit isn't important. That what's really important is, you know, the fatherhood stuff, because that first 3 years of my sobriety, and I continue to do this, but was really a living amends. Like, I needed to show up on time when I say I'm going to be there. I needed to show up and be there for my boy. You know? And I needed to make an amends to his mother, and that wasn't like an apology. Because my apology means nothing. It's like changed action, man.
Yeah, actions speak louder.
You gotta
apologize a million times.
Change the way you are. Change the way you act. Suit up and show up. Do what you say you're gonna do. Like, I needed to do all that. Those were the things I was missing. I thought I was the exception to the rule in everything. I thought I was like fucking special, and that I could do whatever the fuck I want to do, and that, you know, I should be treated differently. Yeah. And
that's very humbling getting sober too. I'm sure all that, right?
Nobody aspires to humility in life. Nobody's like, I want to get up and grow up and be humble. Like, but if you're doing it the right way, life will fucking humble you. It'll humble all of us.
Yeah, totally.
It fucking smacks you in the head. It says, look, you know, it fucking shows you, like, and if you're digesting things the right way, you should find humility. If you're a 75-year-old guy with no humility, you have failed.
Yeah.
Right? Because, like,
no, it's true.
It ain't about you.
It's not.
It ain't about me. It's all part of the whole, man. Like, we're just, everybody's doing the best they can with the tools they got.
100%. Well, I'm happy to see you're doing good, and you have so much shit going on. You have something with Edie Brolin coming out too, right?
Oh, yeah. You know
Eden Brolin, right? Yeah.
She's awesome.
Shout out to my brother Josh,
she's
Pops.
She's in the movie that I posted about the other night.
I know, I saw that. I wrote it down. Also, she was in Yellowstone too, which is another fucking...
I love Yellowstone.
Epic fucking... dude. It's such a great show. It's like Sons of Anarchy or something with cowboys. It's like, dude, it's
just it's really well written, man.
Really well written.
Taylor Sheridan, is that the guy's name who wrote it?
I'm not sure of his name,
but excellent. But I remember my girl was watching it, and I fell asleep in the first episode, and I was like, you could just watch this one without me. And she was like, okay. And so I come home, and she's in the third season, and I was like, this is fucking good. She's like, you want to watch it again from the beginning? I was like, you're already 3 seasons in. She's like, I'll watch it again from the beginning. So I did. I watched it, and it's fucking awesome.
New season's out right now, too.
I know. But Eden's not in this one, right?
No. But the movie's Candyland, right?
Candyland, that's the one. So John Schwab. 6th. So John, he really has kept me working for a long time, man, and he gives me cool roles to play. Like, you know, you talked about getting typecast into that Boston criminal type of thing. John early on started pegging me for, Let Me Make You a Martyr with Marilyn Manson, and I play like a hillbilly who's like a meth dealer and live in a trailer and all that. So he's given me great roles to do. So John, I met John when he was 24. He's made 10 movies now. He's 34.
Wow.
So this Candyland, he has 3 movies coming out before June this year.
Wow.
So that Candyland one, Little Dixie, and One Day as a Lion.
Little Dixie's with Grillo too, right?
Yeah. They all come out before June.
All before. Also, the reason why I mentioned this next movie, because I always talk about it, or Rappaport talked about it on here, how you could be in a really, really big movie and have like a split-second scene, and you can, and your residuals and stuff on that could be bigger than anything you've ever done, because you were in Central Intelligence, right, in 2016?
Yeah.
But the cast is like Bobby Brown, Jason Bateman, Aaron Paul, Dwayne Johnson, obviously Kevin Hart. It's a crazy cast, and you're in there, and you weren't even there. It was thugged out, was your role, right? You thugged out.
Yeah, it's the smallest role I've ever taken.
But then you get your royalties, probably?
I did, but the reason I took that role, dude, is my son was a huge wrestling fan at that time, and I was like, that's The Rock, because I remember getting the offer and being like, thugged out, barroom, like a little barroom scene. I was like, I feel like I shouldn't take this, and I was like, well, it's with The Rock, and
dude,
it's shot over July 4th weekend. It was 3 days, that one scene, and I ended up doing well financially on that. Like the residual check, the power of The Rock and Kevin Hart, man. I mean, that movie made a lot of money.
That's a Rap. Rap was in Will Smith Click, and there was like a small scene, and we talked about how like just those small things like that, just with speaking, can end up being something crazy down the line. You know what I mean?
In those big movies, if the movie's a hit, and you're on the books for that, the residual checks can be nice.
I don't want to forget also special teams you had with Jason and fucking Ed O.G. and the Bulldogs, who I loved. I got to have it. Dude, I remember loving his shit when he came out, man. Such a legend.
Yeah, man. That was
working. That's cool.
And that was early. That was even prior to the Coka Nostra.
Yeah, yeah. You had Stereotypes. That was the name of the album.
Stereotypes. Yeah.
Yeah, in 2007.
And that was the first time I got to work with DJ Premier. So I've done three tracks with Primo, but yeah, that was the first time I went in the studio with Primo.
And you're part of Soul Assassins as well.
Am I?
You worked with them, though?
No, I think those are all my guys. I'm not officially part of Soul Assassins, but I think that. I'm kind of my style was birthed from that whole movement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those guys have definitely mentored me.
And then obviously the Boston Project, people can look up. The Devil Never Dies, The King of Everything Else, Slaine is Dead, all that stuff. People can find all that online, all your music, right?
Yeah, all on the streaming apps.
And you got Hip Hop Artist of the Year and the Boston Music Awards.
Yeah, that was cool.
That's cool, man, right?
Yeah.
I was looking at all your stuff. The 99 Balls is a great song from that too, right?
Yeah.
And then you also did
I still end my sets with that song.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, because it's a big song. It's a drinking song.
Yeah.
But I kind of, because I still do the old songs.
Of course, man. It's part of your life.
But right? Yeah, exactly. So, but then I also have the stuff that's kind of on the vibe that I'm at now. So I mix it together, and at the end, I used to always have a drink before I did that song, and now I just hold up a water. My name's Slaine. I'm an alcoholic. I can't have a drink with you tonight, but if you drink, go ahead, have one for me.
That's fucking awesome, man.
Yeah.
So you can still do it and still play those songs and still fucking have fun.
People still drink and have fun,
And then as of 2021, you had a movie called The Things We Can't Forgive, right? That came out?
That was an album, The Things We Can't Forgive. Yeah.
Oh, fuck, my bad. That was the last record you put out, right?
Yeah, so One Day
was 2019.
One Day and The Things We Can't Forgive are my last two albums. I think they're my best work.
Okay.
I think if you're listening now, I know I'm probably more well known for the early stuff, for my solo stuff anyways. I think One Day is a great album to start with in my catalog if you've never heard my music.
My bad, I have my notes mixed up, but yeah, okay, that was the last one. Okay.
But you might go back in time and listen to the early shit and be like, "Who the fuck is this guy? He's a fucking lunatic."
Do you go back and listen to that stuff ever?
Yeah, sometimes it's hard, man. I mean, sometimes look, I'm proud of all that work, but there's times where I hear myself slurring and I can hear the booze and the drugs and the Xanax and all, and some of the things I'm saying, they're time capsules. It was who I was then.
Totally.
But I'm just not that guy anymore. You know what I'm saying? Some of that stuff, it makes me cringe.
Does it trigger you to play some of those songs, or you think about it, or no?
I mean, there's some I would never play. The ones I'm talking about that make me cringe, I would never play anymore. Okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's stuff where it's
damn.
I would never speak that way anymore. There's slurs I've used in the past that I would never, the current version of myself would never say some of those things. You know what I mean? So that's, for better or worse, they're time capsules. Do
you still pay attention to new hip hop coming out and stuff? You have an ear to the street in a sense?
Not really. I mean, I do. I love music and I listen to music, but as far as what's popping right now, that's a turnoff to me. Anything this is what's relevant right now.
Yeah.
I'm just out of that. I actually listen. You know what I check for is the people that I work with and the people that I respect on a personal level. Artists that I'm,
yeah.
I'll always check out anything obviously that Bill's putting out, or Vinny Paz, or Sick Jackin, or Cypress, or you know what I'm saying. I love to listen to my friends' work.
Yeah, but are you a fan of bigger artists like Cole or Kendrick or?
I got Kendrick's last record. I definitely like J. Cole. I don't know if I'm a fan. I don't know. When I consider a fan is if I know all the words and play this one.
Yeah.
So I don't with those guys. I'm not a fan like that. But I'll tell you what, with Cole, his stuff is amazing. He's an incredible dude. MC.
I love him.
Kendrick, his music is not something that I cruise around and listen to. I more digest it like art.
This new album's an art piece.
Yeah,
100%.
And I listened to the album, and I'm I don't know if I would really rock this album on a regular basis, but some of the stuff he's doing is really amazing.
Talking about
it's amazing. Like it's his technical ability is amazing. I love like his inflection, and I like the different voices and layers he uses, and his wordplay is amazing. And the beat selection is like very off and odd for me, but I appreciate the way that
he's a poet though, man.
He puts it together. Yeah, I give him the utmost respect. Definitely a top tier kind of MC.
Yeah.
Just not my cup of tea necessarily as far as like driving around rocking.
Yeah. We went and saw him this year. Like we saw him on this recent tour. It was incredible. My son loves him, but I feel like this newer record's way more adult, way more deep, talking about, molestation, talking about his auntie had sex change, just all kinds of stuff on there, cheating on his wife. Like it's really...
Yeah, it's a grown man record, and,
it's
really
deep.
a mature artist too. Like I really respect him as an artist.
Yeah,
but I don't drive around and knock it.
Yeah, it's not some really like boom bap kind of beats or anything like that. You know what I mean? It's different. What about like top 5 for you? Is that a hard question?
It's always changing. I mean, look,
that's what people say.
I think it's probably like a uniform top 5, which is why I hate to say it. But. It's also very difficult to narrow it down to 5. It's better if it's like 10. But I guess I would say like, what are the factors that we're putting into it? Like, because when I think of top 5, it's not just like lyrical ability or voice. It's also like impact of the records, longevity,
Good point.
And like how somebody's impacted the culture. Because I could tell you 10 underground guys that are some of the most amazing MCs that I've ever heard, that are maybe even better than some of the top 5 guys on a technical ability, but they don't have the impact.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like, if you don't have the impact on the culture as a whole in America, can you still be a top 5 MC? Like, what are the qualifications of this?
It's a great question, man.
Because the only way that Tupac makes my top 5, and I love Tupac's work, and I grew up listening to his shit, and I think, especially considering he was 24 when he died.
Damn, that's right.
That he had that much work, and what he could have been even past that. I mean, he could have been like a Denzel Washington kind of actor, man. And like, who knows what his catalog looks like if he lives even another 5 years.
True.
But if you count impact into it, then he is a top 5 MC. If you don't, I would probably have more in my top 20 or 25, right? Yeah. So it's like, what are the qualifications for this?
This is my first time asking an MC about a top 5, which is awesome. You're breaking it down great, though.
Ice Cube to me is never mentioned.
True.
But he wrote some of the greatest hip hop albums ever made, right? Dude. He was the most dominant MC on the planet from 91 to 93.
True.
He transitioned it into this 30-year career where he's an actor and he does all these things, and he has juice in Hollywood too. I mean, like he's his voice, his delivery, his rawness. I mean, the embodiment of him. I mean, he's potentially a top 5 all-time guy that never gets mentioned.
It's a great point. Predator, Lethal Injection, fucking America's Most Wanted. What's this one more? All those records are incredible solo albums, dude.
I think Jay-Z has to be in any top 5 based on all the information, right? So lyrical ability, storytelling, voice, flow, longevity, classic albums. And the other thing that puts him in the top spot to me is he's an ambassador for hip-hop music. If you had to embody the story of hip-hop and what it means into one person, that's Jay-Z. He's the American dream. From Marcy Projects to the Wall Street boardrooms, billion-dollar enterprise, marries the number one. He marries Madonna, basically. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, you're talking about like drug dealer to corporate billionaire.
Crazy, man. Yeah.
I mean, and to still be able to articulate everything that it all means in a way that's not that he's safe, because I think it would be difficult to kind of brand Jay-Z as safe, like a Will Smith or somebody like that. Yeah. But he is a very articulate and well-versed speaker and thinker, right? So he could sit with anybody and break down the way what it all means, how it works with any kind of philosophy in life.
Yeah.
And that is what makes him number one to me.
Okay.
I think
I love that. He's in my top 5.
You know, I think you gotta, at this stage of the game, you gotta put M in that top 5 just because what he's been able to accomplish. You talk about impact and relevance and all those things, but also the technical ability and the, you know, the way he puts words together, the storytelling, the ability to do kind of comedy and tragedy.
Yeah.
And I think the embodiment of artists always ask me, like, how do I become a professional artist? And so, well, very little of it has to do with you. You know, you have to it has to be bigger than you. Mm-hmm. You have to embody something that means something to people. Like, you know, when we talk about with my stuff, like I embodied what that Boston drug culture was at that time.
Yeah.
And what was going on in that city at that time. And then I had these vehicles that kind of put that in the light, and that's what gave me a career. It's never been about me. Mm-hmm. It's never been about George or Slaine, right?
Yeah.
It's about what's going on in this place. And, you know, maybe it limited me in a certain way because it's too dark or whatever, and underground, but it also gave me a platform, and that's what it was. It's not me. It's bigger than me. Yeah. And I think on a larger level, why Eminem became so big and impactful is not just his ability and his talent, which is immense in and of itself, but also the fact that he embodied so many things in American culture at the same time, whether it was domestic violence, single parent household, drug addiction, and to do that race, right? All this stuff, right? And he brought it up to the homophobia. He brought all this shit up to the front and made America look at itself through his lens.
True.
And he did it in a comedy way. Like, a lot of people forget that Eminem was funny. Like, he was in the beginning we thought, oh, this is a joke.
Even with the first video, How My Name Is.
You thought it was a spoof. He could have been Weird Al Yankovic, and you never heard another song from him ever since. And then when he came after that, it was like, whoa, this is not Weird Al Yankovic, right? Like, this guy is fucking, he's an assassin.
Yeah, he's an assassin,
Right? And so I think, like, but the embodiment of all those things, it would be very difficult, you know, and people either love Eminem or hate Eminem. I think in the past in my career, I've always tried not to talk about Eminem because when you're a white rapper, you just get compared to him all the time. Mm-hmm. He's so big, like you get compared to him all the time. So it's like, I'm just not going to talk about Eminem, you know?
Yeah.
But I think you have to put him. How do you not? He sold like 150 million records.
Yeah.
He's made classic albums. He's one of the most skilled and gifted lyricists to ever touch a mic by all accounts. How do you not? Like, how can you? It's almost like to disclude him is you have to be a hater.
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
so
or
true,
or hold something against him because of one of the aforementioned reasons why he became so massive.
Yeah,
you know, you don't like that he was homophobic, or he was too cartoony or too much of a joke, or but he was this or that. It's like, dude, at the end of the day, you can't deny it. Like, you know, if we're including impact and all those things, technical ability, storytelling, like that's why I say it's very important to list what are the credentials to make this top 5 list. Is it just your favorite? Is it like who's the closest to the original kind of b-boy style that it came from?
Yeah.
Or are we talking about this whole thing like from classic records, voice, flow, wordplay, impact, storytelling, all that? Because how would you not include Jay-Z and Eminem? Have to be in that. They have to.
100%. I just saw something came out the other day. Rapport was talking about online. Somebody's like the best top 10 white rappers or something like that. And they're saying you have to, obviously Eminem's number 1 on that, but who are the rest? You know, it was going around the other day, but.
I saw it. It was like a joke list. It looked like, though. It has like, some,
Vanilla Ice on there or something?
Izzy Gazelle. How do you say her name?
I don't even know. But I think Vanilla Ice or something. I don't know. I loved Third Bass growing up too, man.
Yeah, Search is a good dude too.
Yeah, I always loved that. I always loved Third Bass. So you got Jay-Z and Eminem. Obviously, Guru is in there for you, though.
I don't know if Guru's top 5 for me. But look, 5. You know, we still have like Rakim.
Oh yeah, Rakim's in my top.
Nas,
KRS.
And, you know,
Nas, damn.
It's very difficult. That's what I mean. Like, how do you put a top 5 together. It's, you know, to me, it's like 10 is still stretching it. And then
those are my Eminem and Jay-Z, definitely my top. Obviously Nas, Rakim, KRS-One, I'd probably be happy with that for me, 5.
Yeah.
But there's so many others, like Guru, you said, Q-Tip, so many.
Well, that's why I say, like, you know,
good,
if you're not including Impact, like Tupac is down 20, 25 for me. Biggie. Because there's just so many. Yeah, Biggie, like, you know, G-Rap.
Who'd you rap? Yeah, who'd you rap?
I mean, Busta Rhymes, a lot of people sleep on. I wouldn't necessarily put him in my top 5, but, like, have you ever seen him perform?
I saw him the other night with the Wu-Tang.
This is 25 hits in a row.
He stole the show. It was Wu-Tang, Nas, and Buster, and Nas is my favorite. And out of the whole night, Nas was the least energy, and Buster came out in the middle of the whole entire show and destroyed the whole crowd. And like you said, 30 minutes of all bangers, man. I could not believe it, man.
Yeah,
I've never seen him live.
And
before,
that's the thing. He's so great live. I've seen him live several times, and that's why I know. I'm like, oh, I mean, you can't. Well, that's another piece. Are we including live performance?
I know.
Because then
some hip hop is not good live.
Maybe Nas is out of the top 5 if we're including live performance. Like, I think M and J are both top-notch performers. I think, you know, I've seen Nas perform a bunch of times. He's good, but he's not great. Like, I wouldn't include him in, like, the top 20 acts I've ever seen
Tribe
live.
was great live. Holy
awesome
shit, energy.
Yeah, and then are we talking groups too?
Ooh,
because if we're just talking like single solo MCs, that's a little different. Because what about Cypress Hill, dude?
Ooh,
Cypress Hill, you could talk about impact, longevity, originality, uniqueness, voice, all that stuff. I mean, Be Real is incredible, dude.
They never get the proper stuff. I don't think you get mentioned enough. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Is it because they have big hits, because they had Rockstar, because they're mainstream, because where they came from and how they started was, I don't know, just so hardcore punk to me. Them filming their video at Astor Place in New York, their whole look, everything, the griminess, his voice, stage diving, all that shit.
You know what, though? Like, so you get less credibility as a lyricist when you're in a group, because a group plays much better when it's voices that mix well together. It's a little simpler and easy to digest. It's more about the brand and the lifestyle, right? These are all kind of, it's not like super wordy, and the verses are shorter, right? Because you get right into like rowdy hooks and all that stuff. And you could say the same thing, by the way, about like Beasties or
Wu-Tang.
Well, Wu-Tang is kind of the aberration to that, because Wu-Tang is about like big long verses and all that. But I think like a lot of groups, like it lends itself to MOP, like just to a better vibe if it's more like it meshes. And that's equally as skilled, by the way. That you don't have to like rhyme 1,000 words to be a great. I'll use Prodigy as an example. Prodigy is one of the greatest writers in hip hop of all time, but he never did anything that was wordplay. It was cold. It was fierce. It was brutal. It fit right in the cut, and it was memorable. And he said things in a way that nobody else would say things.
Good point. How about there's no Tribe without Phife too, like Q-Tip and Phife together. It's incredible, man.
Well, the complementary version of that, it's the same thing. Like when you talk about Be Real and Sin and how great they sound and how iconic they sound, and that all started too with Public Enemy, where you got Chuck D and Flavor Flav, and the way their voices go together. I've actually heard Cypress talk about how they were designed to be the inverse of Public Enemy, right? So where you had it
makes sense.
The high pitch with the front man and the baritone with the hype man.
The Public Enemy too, man. Fuck.
There's just so much great hip hop, man.
There's so much, man. Even like I like Leaders of the New School. I saw them back in the day when Busta Rhymes was in there. KMD. There's so many groups from back then. There's so many Fushnikins. I know it's kind of weird. Lords of the Underground. Naughty by Nature. Tretch. He's sick too, though.
You could say, if you listen, you could say that Tretch is one of the greatest. He had all that stuff, the hits and everything, but he's in a group, right? So it's he also doesn't get put in that same light because he's from a group. That's exactly what I'm talking about. But he heavily influenced Jay-Z. If you listen to Tretch and then Jay-Z, early Jay-Z back to back, you go, oh,
interesting.
This sounds a lot. This sounds similar.
But never gets Redman. Dude, nobody puts Redman in their shit. I love that Eminem always speaks about Redman. All those records are incredible, bro.
Yeah. And then the Wu-Tang guys, they're all in their own right. Could be up there, man. I mean, Raekwon or Jizza, Method Man. We forget over time, but Method Man is what drew everybody to Wu-Tang early on. He was the star of the group.
Dude.
No question.
Yeah. And it's funny you say that because on this recent tour, he wasn't at some of the shows. So I saw a video he posted saying, this is the first time in my life at 52 years old, I have another option. I'm in Colombia doing a movie. So if you go see Wu-Tang out there, don't be mad at me. Be happy for me. But people were bummed he wasn't there. I went to the Hollywood Palladium show. Mary J. Blige came out and did All I Need, but he wasn't there. They did the song, but she was there without him or something. In the middle of the set, he comes on stage, and I almost got goosebumps telling me the whole crowd goes fucking crazy for Method Man. He does all of his singles, and then Mary J. Blige comes back out. They do All I Need. It was phenomenal, bro, and he's a superstar. And there was some energy on stage that I read about later, but RZA was on the stage standing in the back, and he kept looking back going, you see this? You see this? You see this love? You see this energy? Because who knows what the politics are of that situation? But he was showing him like, yo, I am important. Because people do forget about Method Man. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Like Actor, he has this albums with Redman. But when he came out, you felt his presence. He's a great front man. He sounded amazing. He's always going in the crowd, Redman. It was just, he was like a superhero. He's all fucking jacked.
Yeah, I see him online doing all the workouts. He's ripped. He's shredded.
But it's like you said, like people kind of forgot, like, when he came out with his solo record, man, he was like the sex symbol. He was like the one that girls loved him. He had the ballads, all this shit. Like, don't sleep on Method Man because he is an incredible MC as well.
But he was the grimy one before the Mary J. Blige stuff and all that too. And his voice, like, dude.
Yeah.
Back then, when Method Man was just on a song doing a hook, it was all you could wait for. Where's Method Man? Oh, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
his flow.
He was
everything.
on Biggie's album on Ready to Die, and like, I mean,
yeah.
But he's also never put on that top 10 list, and it's because I think like
the group thing.
The group thing.
Yeah.
And also, like, he also, like, he's very much more about, like, his flow and his delivery. His lyrics are still great, but I think people don't take him as seriously as, like, a Cool G Rap or a Nas or whoever. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I don't know why, but he's incredible. He's one of the great. It's too hard to make a top 5.
It is, man. We're done with this top 5 shit. Because Raekwon and Ghost together, I saw them recently. That was incredible. Them two together, their chemistry is fucking amazing. But both those records are awesome. And I love how, like, Ghostface, he had his face covered when they first came out, and nobody's really fucking with him, and everybody had their solo records. When he came out last with all those other records, man, Supreme Clientele, just all those records, he became like where you been this whole time? You know what I'm saying? Like, he came out and fucking shined, bro.
And he's so unique. Like, he's so much different. The way he puts words together, his flows, like, they don't land on the right spots, but they are. It is the right spot, but it's not like how everybody else does it.
But he's like his swag, their style, his whole package is just, even now they're in their 50s, you know what I mean? Still like sagging, just the whole vibe on stage, just them together. It's just they still sound great, man.
It's funny because I talk about this with Archetype when I was making the Things We Can't Forgive, and basically it's about childhood trauma. It's about heartbreak and loss and addiction and love addiction and sex.
It's probably very therapeutic for you to put that record out.
I mean, it got me through the most difficult time in my sobriety, and it's super important. But I remember I was just making it to get through, and I asked the Archetype, who's basically my partner in music at this point. Like, I record everything with him. He's my primary producer and my confidant when it comes to music. And I was like, man, are my fans gonna listen to this record? I don't know if we should even put this out. Like, it's just so much different. And he made a great point, and it's something we've talked about a lot, actually. He's like, for the first time, hip hop has grown up. Like, you have guys who are 50 years old who grew up on hip hop music.
Yes.
What's more awkward and what would be weirder is for you to be doing the music you did 20 years ago now.
Sing about the same shit.
Like, your fans and the people they've grown too. And they want stuff that relates to them now. And it's
great point.
We, for the first time, have, like, I don't know, I don't want to use the word contemporary, but, like,
that's what they call the 444 record, though. JC was like contemporary hip hop, was like adult shit.
Yeah.
His apology and just all that stuff.
Bro, and so when you ask, like, do I get my ear to the street now? No. And I'll tell you why. Because, some of the artists who are younger artists, I think the same thing I said about Kendrick. Like, they're dope. They're great technical ability, but what the 18-year-old kid is going through and talking about on this record, like, not for nothing, but I moved past some of that shit about fucking 20 years ago. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not digesting that in a way that's like relevant to me. And I get why kids might love it or whatever. And cool, that's your wave right now. Like,
it's why people loved you back then when you were singing about it as well.
Exactly. So but now, like, what I am interested in listening to and hearing about is a different kind of content.
Of course, because you're a different person.
And now we support that. You know what I mean? Like, the Spotify Unwrapped came out the other day. I'm sure you saw it. And it's like, I didn't put out anything last year. My fucking channel has like 14 million listens.
I saw that
shit,
bro. I saw that.
Not
like,
one new song last year. You know,
that's incredible, man. So I saw that.
People live with it. People make your music part of their lives. You know.
That was really fucking awesome too, man. You probably psyched them. That's exciting. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's all relative, right? Because we have friends where you look at it and you go, "Holy shit, dude!" Like that. My friend, so Louis Bell, he produced most of A World with No Skies, most of The King of Everything Else, all of the Boston Project except for one song, maybe. So he produces all of Post Malone's records.
Yeah,
and he produces Bruno Mars and Katy Perry and Camila Cabello and Justin Bieber. And I saw his Spotify Unwrapped. And it was 6.6 billion streams. Wow. And I was like, 14 million is, you know.
Yeah, but think about it. Your shit is super, like, still pretty underground.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm just saying, it's all relative, right?
It is.
You can look around, and comparison is the thief of enjoyment, right? But I'm very grateful to have people that. If you told me years ago that my music would be streamed 100 million times, if you told me when I was 15, I'd be like, "What?" It's
fucking crazy.
You know,
it's still crazy now, though. It's like that's a lot.
Yeah, and it's like it's you're connected to all these people around the world that you don't even know.
I know, and you're inspiring people and helping people too. You know what I mean? As much as it's helping you, like. Music saved your life and very therapeutic. You saved a lot of people's lives, you know.
You too, brother.
Yeah,
Well, you've been on that PMA before me. Trust me, I see you.
Thank you, man. You said Post Malone. I just saw Post Malone last week for the first time. It was really great. He played guitar, acoustic songs. He sang.
He's awesome.
He's drinking and smoking the whole time, but he's like performing and like slapping everybody five. It was a beautiful show. I did not know what to expect. Me and my wife went. Shout out to Adam Gross. He got us into the show. And yeah, man,
he's a great kid,
dude. And he knows a lot about punk and metal and hardcore and this other music. And just seeing him strum his guitar and sing the whole crowd, sing all the words. It was really beautiful, man. He has so many bangers. I didn't realize like 8 or 9 songs I fucking knew. And it was this great show, man. It's just him out there by himself and like
that Hollywood Bleeding song is amazing. Is
that an acoustic one?
No.
Okay.
It's
wait, is that I don't know. It's a later, newer one or no?
No, it's off not this album, the one before.
Okay.
So I'm in tune with that because Lou produced it. So I've hung out with Post a few times and all that.
He seems really cool and humble.
Great fucking kid. I've never seen somebody so comfortable in their own skin.
Okay.
And like when you see that kind of success happen too, like he's a good human, like a gentle, nice kid. He's like happy and like I don't know, he's just having a good time.
No, it
feels good to see somebody have that success who like is a good dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he kept thanking the crowd all night. Like he was just like, yeah, it was really nice. He seems genuine.
You've been out here for a while, so you see the good, the bad, and everything in between, right? So you see people that's like, oh God, you know? And he's not that. Like he's like a sweet kid. And
he lives in Utah or something now.
Yeah.
Like he's not even from out here. Like he wasn't down with the LA life and shit. Like it's cool, man. It was awesome. I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah,
I like when
he's super talented too, man. Like he can fucking sing his ass off.
And play guitar too.
Yeah.
We ran through this part, but you have no regrets, really, huh?
I mean, I think of course, if I could do some of the things, there's things I would have done over.
Yeah.
I wish I had the clarity I have now for certain opportunities in my life, but the reverse side of it is if things didn't go the way they did, I would not have the clarity that I have now. So it was the cost of fucking up. I needed to fuck up.
Yeah. I love that.
And I forgive myself for it.
And that's awesome. As you should. You should You feel good in your own skin now too. You feel like
it took me up until that album. So I was 5.5 years sober when we made that album, and The Things We Can't Forgive. And
it seems like your proudest record. It seems like something that's really one of your faves.
I think it was a survival mechanism, as a lot of my records are, but that one was particularly like I was fucking destroyed, man. I was heartbroken.
Yeah.
I was gonna drink or get high again if I didn't do something, and I thought I was making a love record. I thought I was making a record about heartbreak, but what it really did is it opened up. There's a guy that I started working with who was mentoring me that I met in the program, and he said, this isn't about her, man. Let's find out what it's really about. And I had to dig deep into really the root of my addiction, but I just didn't know. I didn't know that's what the root of my addiction was. Like, I think that it really comes from like, I think we have like a love and attachment disorder. That's what addiction is. It has nothing to do with the substance.
Okay.
Because drugs hijack the system that we love with, right? It shoots off all the dopamine in your brain. Dopamine is designed to fall in love. So when you meet a girl, the dopamine starts firing off, the serotonin levels go down, you experience bliss, you have this mental obsession, you're thinking about this woman all the time, right? And you're making irrational decisions based on it, like doing things you shouldn't be doing, and you'll do anything to see this girl right now, right? That's addiction. That's what addiction is. Drugs hijack the system that we love with. So when we're getting high, we're really looking for love and attachment and connection.
Gotcha.
And so many alcoholics and addicts, almost everyone that I've ever met, we are codependent, and we have had something that happened during our childhood that broke our trusted bonds, right?
Gotcha.
Love and attachment. Almost to a T. Almost to a fucking T. That's what it is. So I'm convinced that's what it was. That's what it is. So when I was recording that record, I think I'm making a record about love and heartbreak. And what it really ended up being was about trauma, and the end of it is really about me forgiving myself for all the fucking things.
It's beautiful, man. Yeah.
But I wasn't able to do that before,
Yeah. Be in that place. Have you ever had therapy before?
That was it.
That was it.
That's
Yeah. So no therapist ever.
That's the record.
Okay, respect. I just started going to therapy first time at 52. I was really scared. I'm the first person in my whole family to do it. I've only gone twice. It's been great, but I'm breaking the thing in my family of going to. You know what I'm saying?
Cycle breaking.
Yeah. Yeah. So music's been your therapy, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm not opposed to going to therapy. I think like I've really found a lot like through mentors and like the program that I work. I work a 12-step program, and I work with people in that circle, and like that's how I've done a lot of my therapy.
And you're talking about it in front of people. And
I've done a lot of work, bro. Like a lot of work on a lot of writing, a lot of inventories, looking at my fears, my resentments, and forgiving myself, forgiving other people, making amends for things I've done wrong. Like I've done a lot of it.
Yeah.
I had to, you know what I mean? I had to clean up a big mess, man.
Yeah. Are you an optimist or pessimist?
I'm an eternal optimist.
Seems like it, yeah.
My mother said to me, like, because I'll talk about something in my childhood or whatever. She said to me, you have a really idyllic view of some of the things that were in your childhood. She's like, I think it's a defense mechanism. She's like, it wasn't that great, like when I say something, like, oh, do you remember when,
yeah.
But I always see the bright side, and I'm like this, like. Perfect example being in that fucking warehouse, and it's like,
dude,
all cards are reading 0, dude. You're fucking unemployable. You're fucked up in the game, and I'm like, I'm fucking on the brink of making it.
You believed in yourself. You believed in yourself.
Yeah,
always, dude, and never gave up.
I see this in people too. By the way, like people will say like, oh, he's a piece of shit. Oh, that guy's a fucking scumbag or whatever. I never take anybody's word for that. Sometimes I get burned by that.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, but I try to see
It's like, let me meet them and get my experience.
Yeah, let me get my experience with them,
dude.
And I also give people a pass for shit. You know why? Because they fucking deserve it, man. Like fucking, we're all doing the best we can with the shit that we have. Nobody's a fucking demon.
It's true. I always see the good in people my whole life like that. Always, man. You know what I mean? we have a lot of friends that go through a lot of shit.
Yeah, man.
And I know there's good inside, and they're dealing with stuff, and yeah, it's just great to hear your story, man. It's super inspiring just knowing you and meeting you throughout my life and hanging with you and seeing the different versions of you and see where you're at now, like 9 years into sobriety. It's fucking beautiful. You know?
I can say the same thing about you, brother. And I know you. I know you are always straight edge. I thought that was so bizarre. I think you were the first person I ever met that was straight edge. I remember Damien introduced me to you, and he's like, he's straight edge, and I was like, straight edge? What do you mean? Like he's I think I asked you.
Probably
you've
did, yeah.
never ever had a drink or a drug. I think I was fucking in my early 20s. We were young.
Yeah.
Right? And you. Dude, I want to say it was, I had heard about. Did I meet you in New York, or did I
Probably.
meet you? I must have met you at CB's or whatever back in the day. But I do remember distinctly meeting you at a Hatebreed show at what's the place? I've played it several times. I'm terrible with shit like this.
In New York?
Man. No. In LA here, and it's a place the Doors used to play all the time. As
Palladium?
No. It's on Sunset. It has the. Only holds 400 people. It has the billing in front.
Roxy, Troubadour, Whiskey.
Whiskey A Go-Go.
Okay, Whiskey A Go-Go. Okay, yeah, I remember that's right. Okay.
I met you in there, and Josta was playing with. I think they were playing with Hatebreed, or maybe I don't know. But you were there, and I remember asking, "What do you mean you're fucking straight edge? Like you've never, no, not even once. You never even once. You're like,
never,
no?
Man."
And Damien was there that night, and Damien was like, he can shit on the wall across the room.
That's some shit I used to do in the 90s. Yeah, spastic colon. Yeah. Oh, my God. That's fucking funny, man.
He doesn't drink or get high, but he can shit on the wall across the room.
Rope master for the listeners. Yeah, man. I just never tried anything, man. It's kind of fucking crazy. And all my friends have partied around me my whole life. And it just, I don't know. I saw the effects on my brothers in my household. My mom was working crazy jobs raising us, and it kind of scared me. They kind of scared me straight, and I guess, I don't know.
What did your mom do for a living?
My mom worked at different restaurants because my dad passed when I was 3 in Taunton, and then my mom was working at, I don't know, she was a waitress. She did all kinds of random jobs, and then we moved to Newport, Rhode Island, where she got a job as like a manager of an apartment area. So that was like her first real job. So that's where we left Massachusetts.
Oh, shit. My girlfriend's from Rhode Island.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What part?
I was in Newport. She's kind of like me, where she moved around a million different neighborhoods, and she even more so than me. She would go to like 3 or 4 schools in the same year, and then like, so she's kind of like, but she lived in like the Cranston area, Johnston, Chepachet, fucking all this other. I don't know Rhode Island that well like that, but I've learned a little bit about her because I love her and I listen to her.
That's awesome. It's a new lady. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, we've been together for a while, but a while now, anyways. I think like, for a minute, anyways. And I love her, man.
That's awesome. What you have a daily ritual you do
with her?
With you?
Oh, with me?
Working out? You?
I am a creature of habit, but I also am a creature of getting out of habits.
Yeah.
So I've had different habits during the course of my sobriety. I used to wake up super early in the morning, go to a meeting, go to the gym, all that. And when I'm in LA, like I had a whole ritual, like, and now with the detox, man, I gotta say, like, it's 24/7, right? So we have patients there 24/7. There's things that happen. I'm always kind of on call. I'm always in the mix over there. I'm up early, and right now I'm out of town doing a movie, so I'm not there. My phone is still going all day.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
So I often that kind of breaks routines in ways.
Totally.
But when I'm at my best, I'm meditating every day.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm praying every day. And I'm active in my recovery program.
It's awesome.
Those are the things that I do all the time. I always like to see my son every day, but as you know, as the father of a kid getting older, like he's just at that point where it's like, I'm hanging out with my friends.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Which is great, and it's natural, but it's a hard part of fatherhood, right?
It's really hard, man.
They go from being like your little boy.
Needing you all the time.
Yeah.
They're still going to need you forever, but I know what you're saying. Like, they're hanging with their friends, and like, yeah, man, all these different chapters are pretty amazing having a kid.
And you go, damn, I'm getting old,
Exactly. But they still love you and they think you're cool. I don't know if I'll be cool forever, but Yeah, man, that bond, that communication with your kid is so important, and giving them space to grow, meet people, and do all that shit, and be little adults
and make mistakes.
Yeah, it's crazy because we don't own them. It's like we made them, but we don't own. You don't own your children. So it's crazy.
They're another human being just like you, and I mean, ultimately, you want them to be able to go in the world and navigate their way, and like there might be times with it you don't talk to them for a month or something. That's unfathomable to me right now.
I don't want to think about that, man. I know. I have that leaving the nest syndrome. My son's 19. Like, a lot of kids now are staying at home to like 20, 22. I'm like, that's so cool. Because like, it's no rush, especially moving out in LA. It's expensive. It's like, what are you going to do? He works and stuff, but like, we have such a good relationship with that bond. I know we'll have that forever, regardless where he lives. But that reality of them leaving is fucking, dude, I can't even think about it, man. It makes me so, I can't do it, man. It kills me.
Because it fucking goes by so fast.
I know. And life goes by fast when you have a kid, too.
It really does, man.
Fuck, it's crazy, man. Especially when you get old. How old are you now?
I'm 45.
Damn. Catching up. Still young, though. Yeah.
I sometimes I think I'm fucking old, and then other times I'm still a young guy.
Yeah, you are, dude. So what's coming out next for you?
Well,
you can't say what you're working on now, probably. But
I cannot say what I'm working on right now.
Okay.
Very excited about it. I wish I could, but I can't.
But January 6th is the one with Eden Brolin.
I'm not in that one, so that's my friend John Swab who directed it.
Okay.
Yeah, I just went to support it because I was
nice.
here, and I'm like,
I just plugged it.
Those are my guys. Yeah, I mean, I love John, and you heard it here first. Well, maybe not first, but John's gonna be. I think he's so immensely talented as an artist. He takes risks. I would say he's going to be massive, and I believe he will one day.
Yeah.
But that movie right there is the reason why he's taking risks. It's fucking like very. I mean, I just feel like Hollywood and the world doesn't support its risk takers anymore artistically. Like, everything needs to be safe and politically correct.
Facts.
But part of that is the reason why I think that he will be huge, because he's one of the people who can break that mold.
Okay.
Usually,
about Candyland, yeah.
Yeah, so like I said, he's made like 10 movies. I think I've done 5 or 6 with him at this point. And most artists who are edgy like that, or who are really like outside the box. He's almost like Chuck Palahniuk is to writing as he is to directing, to me anyways. I think it's a good comparison. So he's like very left of center, but still like he's Americana. Like it's just a very brave and bold approach on a movie. I think it's rated X.
Whoa, okay.
So there's like full frontal nudity. I mean, it's about truck stop sex workers. So But everything.
Like Monster? Remember Monster?
I do remember Monster.
Charlize Theron, she killed that one. That was about kind of the same. Yeah, that's cool.
So
it's a true story.
Yeah, I just think the world of John as a human being and as an artist. So check out his work, because he's really like now. I worked on his first movie with him with Manson. Let Me Make You a Martyr. Now he's 10 movies deep, and I just did one with him in Puerto Rico, and it's like, watching his evolution as a director is a beautiful thing, because he's really coming into his own. It's like I think he's going to be a special director.
So what do you have? Is there something coming out soon, or next year you got coming out? You got 3 coming out or something?
Yeah, I got. Well, it looks like I'll probably have like 3 or 4 coming out next year. So we'll see.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Any names that we can say or no?
One Day as a Lion, I think, might be the next one that comes out. That's with Scotty Conn and J.K. Simmons. I had a cool scene with J.K. Simmons. He's just a great actor. Yeah.
That's cool. Is there anybody you love to work with still?
Number 1 on my list?
Yeah.
P.T. Anderson.
Okay, who's that?
He directed, first movie I saw from him was Hard 8, then it was Boogie Nights, then it was Magnolia, then There Will Be Blood, then Punch Drunk Love,
all right.
The Master. I mean, he's like, to me, him and Tarantino, like if you said you could work with either one, I don't know who I would pick. I love them both.
Yeah. And what about an actor you haven't worked with yet?
Oh, man. I mean, I think Christian Bale is incredible,
dude.
I love him as an actor.
I still watch American Psycho. It's so fucking good. He's incredible, man. Even The Machinist, when he lost all that weight, like, bro.
Amazing.
And Batman, he goes so hard. He's like a real actor, man. Yeah. That'd be a good one. What about like De Niro or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, De Niro's one of my heroes, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he was my favorite actor for half of my life.
Okay.
You know? I still obviously love his stuff.
Yeah.
Brando, even though he's not here anymore, I
Pacino.
really like Brando, Pacino. Yeah, I mean, that whole era of guys, man.
Yeah.
But I think we have great actors now too. There's a lot of Joaquin Phoenix and there's people who are just incredible.
Joaquin's the best, dude.
Tom Hardy.
Woo! Tom Hardy. So he's tatted up and she's hard. Dude, I love him. I always tell my wife that if I had to kiss a man, I would kiss Tom Hardy.
I don't even. Do you know the crazy thing
he's
about?
So handsome. He's just so badass, bro.
The thing about Tom Hardy,
like prison tats.
I don't even know what he looks like because he every time he does a role, he looks so much different. Like he looks like a different person every fucking role.
Yeah. What's that one? What's the show he's on? Oh, do you watch Peaky Blinders ever?
Nah,
he's in there, bro.
Is he?
Dude, he's like a Hasidic Jew gangster with like eczema, and he picks the scabs on his face.
Get the fuck out of here,
bro! It's so fucking gross.
And you don't even know it's him if you're watching.
No, dude, he's incredible.
That's my point.
Yeah, he's incredible, dude. Yeah, Hardy's sick, Bale's sick. Those are two great ones you mentioned. There's like young up and coming ones that people love. But yeah, man, there's so much. And shout out to Grillo, who good friend of both of ours, and you do a lot of things with him too. I told him he come to the party. He's like, he's a beast. He texts me back and shit.
I love Frank, dude.
He's a real one, dude.
He's a great guy.
How about John Berthal? I forgot his name, Berthal.
How'd you meet Frank? Did you meet him through John Joseph?
Yeah, I met him at Chromax show.
Yeah.
But John Berthal,
I had heard that they grew up together, right?
Yeah.
So I did Wheelman with Frank, where I just have a voice role in that movie. It was a Netflix movie. He's in the car the whole movie, and I'm a voice on the
I watched that. That was you?
Yeah, that's me.
Dude, I might have hit you up there next because I watched that movie. Yeah, Wheelman. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I met Frank there, and
he's so good.
He's just a great dude, man.
Yeah.
And somebody actually said to me, like, when I was going to do that movie, oh, watch out for him. I heard that he's, that he's mean or he's an asshole or whatever. And it's like, no, again, remember we were just talking about that. Wait and have your experience with somebody.
Exactly, dude.
Because Frank is a fucking gentleman, but he's direct, man. He's one of us. He's one of us. He's an East Coast guy.
Yes, dude.
I fucking appreciate that. You know what it is in LA? People like everybody. They'd rather like tell you something nice to your face and then say something behind your back. 100%. I hate that shit. Fucking tell me what you fucking think.
And that's East Coast, like straightforward.
And that's
shit.
Frank. Frank's from the Bronx. Frank is, a blue collar guy who tells it like it is, and I fucking love that, and I appreciate that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I love working with him too. I've worked more with him recently. So
yeah, he loves you too. Yeah, he's great, man. That's a great, and we both. I really, really met him through Chris Uvain, our friend who passed away. Both of our friends.
Yeah,
and he bonded us. And when Frank did my podcast, which he's going to come back and do again, Chris was in the kitchen with us. It was the first time I met Grillo here. And then because of that, I never watched UFC fights, never cared about it. We always watched fights together. Now I continue that with Frank at his house for Chris. And yeah, we had that connection with Chris Uvain. Rest in peace. And yeah,
rest in peace to Chris. I told you on the side, Chris really advocated for me. He walked me into 360. He got me signed there, and management 360 management.
Yeah,
just terrible loss, man. Like as a human being, he was just such a really good dude. I remember I brought vinyl into his office one day. I brought him we had these little 7-inch Mind Your Business with the Coka DJ Premier.
Nice.
And he was pumped I brought that record in, but he's like, oh, Toby. I was like, I know Toby. Toby's my boy. He's like, I love H2O. Toby's my friend too. Toby gave me this vinyl. Like he had H2O vinyl there that day.
Yeah.
I remember, and he's like, he was talking about how much he loves you and you guys, and I was like, yeah, Toby's my man.
So great. It's such a small world because I was hearing about there's this agent Lorenzo from Sworn Enemy is like, yo, this guy Chris Uvain, he loves hardcore, he's from New York. He's a big agent, CAA. I was like, cool. I don't really know about that. And then he brought him to my show, and he came to my show wearing like the hundreds H2O Cola I put. I was like, oh shit, this guy's legit. Then we became friends, and like same love for hip hop and gangster and all this stuff. And yeah, man, he's a sweetheart, man. That was horrible because I was in touch with him leading up to it. He was in Jersey. We were texting, checking in on him and stuff. And you just don't know what people are going through. They can have the fame, the great job, the wife, the house, everything, but people are going through different things and trauma and pain, childhood things, and that's why it's important to reach out to people and talk to people. And I think that's what you're doing is so amazing with helping people and sharing your story like on this podcast, and it can inspire people, you know what I mean? Help people. It's really important, man, because people keep things inside and then they explode if shit like that happens. It's horrible, man. I can't explain or understand that kind of pain where you could do something like that, but I also get that people are in a lot of pain, you know?
Yeah,
that was
hard,
heavy
man.
as fuck, man.
It's hard because, Chris was like a really gentle, good human being.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He always, it's not just me. I always appreciate Chris for looking out for me and helping me. And but he did that for everybody.
And I saw that when they had these groups of people coming out and celebrating his life and going to his brother's house and seeing all these different people from the whole world being there, and he helped everybody. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Anyway, well, this was awesome, dude. Like, fuck, so great having you here. And the thing about love of the podcast, I always say, is like knowing somebody throughout your whole life and actually sitting down with them face to face and talking about them and learning so much more about them as a person, and just maybe thinking you might know everything about them when you don't. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, you didn't even know my fucking name, man.
I know, man. It's kind of hard, though. It's kind of cool.
No, it's dope.
There's some people, I won't say their names on the pod, we'll talk after, who like, I still don't know their names. I don't want to keep it that way and shit, but like the government name.
Yeah, but that's what everybody calls them. It's like, and the thing about this is like we have a big circle. We know a lot of people, right? So
hardcore hip hop.
You don't really get the like you could still love somebody and have mad love for them and not know their fucking name. How weird is that?
It's so weird. Not know their middle name, not know their age.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
but we just think we come from a different lifestyle. Like, it's a different culture. You know what I'm saying?
It's such a different time now too. Like you said, coach, all that stuff. Like,
but if you think about it, this is interesting too, and we can wrap after this. But part of it is we create these versions of ourselves. Every rapper does it. Every hip hop artist does it. We do it like in street culture and all that. We create a version of ourselves that is indestructible, or that is all these things that empowers us. Really, it empowers us.
That's a great point.
And that's what hip hop did. It empowered people, right? Like,
it
took people from tough situations and it empowered them and gave them a voice, right?
Yeah.
And that's what our culture does too. Like in hip hop, we fall under hip hop culture as well, and and hardcore culture and street culture and all that. But we have empowered ourselves.
It's true.
And this is, this is where it is, right? Like, this is an empowerment. This telling our stories, giving hope, talking about some of these things that happen in life and how we get through them and the losses that we've suffered, and we keep moving forward, and that's empowering. Yeah. That's empowering to us. It's empowering to people. So that the name stuff is just an extension of that, where it's like Slaine or fucking whatever it is, right? Like, that's true. Part of the empowerment.
Yeah. Fuck, man. A lot of gems in this conversation, man.
Yeah, it's good
I appreciate it, man. This is so good to have. We've been talking about doing this for a while. Obviously, we're on two different coasts. We're both Massachusetts born. Thank you for being here. People can find you. Slaine's World on your Instagram, right?
Yeah, we got to take the photo on the steps. I always see you post.
Bro, we're doing all that.
I'm not getting in the fucking tub though, Toby.
No. I talked to him like, you check out the cold plunge and the sauna. He's like, nah, I'm good. Especially coming from the east where it's freezing anyway. But yeah, I'll show it to you though. It's really good for the mind and the body though. But
I know. I'll try it someday, but I ain't doing it today.
Well, thank you for being here, bro. This was fucking awesome, man. I'm psyched for people to hear it. And stoked to where you're at in your life. I'm proud of you, man. It's awesome.
Thank you, brother.
Good place.
Likewise.
I got to piss so bad. Bye, everybody. I always ask my guests if they have any regrets. I personally don't have any regrets. Even when it comes to my tattoos. I have the silliest tattoos. Even my ET on my leg, it's still a childhood memory for me, and I love it. I've had tattoos on top of tattoos strictly because I wanted more tattoos. I started getting tattoos when I was 18. I'm 52 now, and I can't stop. I've had laser treatment before on something on my arm. It's 4 tattoos on top of each other. And that experience at that place was pretty fast. It was pretty cold. It was in and out, swipe the credit card. Don't really tell me much. Didn't give me much details or anything was going to happen. So I never went back. So as of most recently, I'm so lucky enough to have had 2 sessions at Removery Tattoo Removal. My tattoo on my arm that looks like a big black blob is now super light. I've had 2 sessions. I have a long road ahead of me. None of this stuff happens overnight. You cannot take a tattoo up in one sitting. You have to be patient. And it's painful. They ice you up. It's super fast. To me, it felt like a bunch of rubber bands. But what's more painful than that is looking at something on your body that you think you're stuck with for the rest of your life. That sucks. But now for me, I'm really happy I started this journey. I'm slowly going to get this tattoo removed. I never thought in a million years I have any kind of real estate on my arm. I don't even know what I want, but it's exciting. I'm so honored to announce that One Life, One Chance podcast is now with Removery. I have a code. Use TobyH20 and get $100 off your first session. Call 866-934-4570 or go to removery.com. One of the most experienced tattoo removal companies in the world. Over 600,000 removal treatments done. 100 locations, U.S., Canada, and Australia. State-of-the-art peak-away laser technology, cryotechnology to reduce any discomfort. This is so exciting for me because all I do in these podcasts is talk about tattoos. From day one, if you've been listening to this podcast, talk about tattoos, talk about getting removed, talk about getting covered up. So this is such a perfect fit for me. Once again, go to removery.com or call 866-934-4570. Use my code TobyH20 and get $100 off. These guys are located everywhere. Try it out. Yo, people always ask me what kind of frames I'm rocking. I've been rocking Caddis for a couple years. They make amazing progressive readers, which I wear. Also, they make sunglass readers, anti-glare, anti-smudge coating, anti-scratch, and anti-aging. That's why I look mad young when I wear them. I'm just kidding. But they make amazing frames. Caddis, so stoked to have you guys part of the podcast. You can go to caddislife.com/Toby10 and get $10 off your first purchase. Stoked. Thank you, Caddis. Welcome to the fam.